Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a little after 8 o'clock, and what we'll do is go over our agenda this morning, and we'll start invocation. Commissioner Bell, I think you have some special guests this morning for invocation.
Yes, Chaplain Hutchins from the Sheriff Department.
Would you please introduce him?
Okay.
Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance, Boy Scout Troop 23. I have an outline. Everyone has an outline. Would it be permissible for someone to read that?
I mean, I can if you'd like me to. I can
Yes.
just kind of go over this and, right after, the invocation, if you'd like me to do it then, you think, or just have them, what do you think?
Probably as soon as possible, because they need to get back to school.
Yeah, because they've got to get
Okay.
out of here. So I could go ahead and do it then, and have them come up and do that, and then we'll
Good.
get through these other items, and then we'll
Okay.
go right into special recognition.
Thank you.
Okay.
Approval of the minutes. Discussion, adjustment of agenda. I think, Mr. Smith, you've got some purchase of property at the Veterans Cemetery and the North Carolina Eastern Region Financial Report. Mr. Bell's got a report from the Eastern Region.
I'm wondering, could we move that under his report, under number 3? After thinking about it, since we put it together, if Mr. Bell could give that under reports under number 3, so moving basically number 4 under his report, and then I've got some things I would add to that.
Number 3 also.
Yes.
Number 3 and 4. Mr. Bell,
Yes. Gotcha.
on committee report.
Mhm.
And anyone here with that, I'll go ahead and call on you first, Mr. Bell, on committee report. So if someone's here that you need, or Mr. Smith needs
Okay.
to enhance that report, then they can leave. Farm City Week proclamation, is that Kevin Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Kevin's coming.
And the health department, okay, we'll need a, is he going to read the proclamation?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Health Department Strategic Plan Presentation. David?
David, we'll be
David.
here for that.
I want to follow down and do
No,
that.
Just say
David.
Mr. Madden.
Mr. Madden.
He answers by number of
He
names.
goes by, it's like, bureaucrats, we'll go by anything, as long as it costs, we'll go by.
Budget amendments.
We do have an additional this morning that's already been handed out, and it is number 156, and it's for the Department of Justice Domestic Cannabis Eradication. That is $2,939.19, and its obligation to receive some funds from the Department of Justice reimbursement for helicopter fuel. We've talked about that before, but this is the actual amendment. So we need to add that behind page 44 in your agenda package.
Page 44.
Right behind that, right behind page 44.
Right.
That way we'd still be under Sheriff's Office. So it's kind of 44A, if you would, I guess.
Public comments.
Mr. Chairman, I did want to sometime today, I've been talking with Human Resources and some of the department managers and some of you just in passing about benefits, county employee benefits. I wanted to mention something at some point today just about a possible RFQ process. So you think there's an appropriate time where I just could mention, just to bring you up to date on something we're going to be bringing to you in the next few weeks, really as information.
Let's do that under county manager's report.
Okay, you just want to, maybe number 6, or well, we're going to be changed to, let's see.
We'll do let's see, public comments at 10, no closed session today.
Mhm.
Board of Commissioners comments.
Just right after.
Let's, instead, just mark out closed session,
Okay,
and if you would put,
Right there.
county manager's report right
Okay.
there.
got it. Take care. Perfect, thank you.
Board of Commissioners comments, Board of Commissioners information. And that information is at page 50. That's for information only.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Looks like a light day.
But a good one.
Anything that we need to discuss on the agenda, that we need to put on or adjust the agenda? Mr. Camardi? Okay. Mr. Bates? Mr. Aycock?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bell?
No, I just think that, I just go ahead and make the motion on the Eastern Region funds, and then when the question comes, Mr. Smith can talk to about the different items that we're going to,
He's
where
going,
the money's going to be used.
he's
Yeah,
he's going, whenever that part comes up.
Eastern Region.
For
Oh,
the
okay,
Eastern
sure.
Region, if you would let
Okay.
Mr. Smith bring all that.
Right, yes,
When you get time for your report.
okay.
Mr. Daugherty?
No comment.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, we do have appointments this morning, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Quite a few.
Good. Okay.
Was there any items or anything you needed updates from? One of the things I wanted to make sure of, even if not for today, for the next meeting, any updates that any of you need, anything, that I need to bring from departments, because, we're getting close to mid-year. So we'll just be thinking about that, or if there are items you'd like to bring before the board, updates, reports. We're interested in doing that. I can kind of give department managers a couple week heads up to put reports together. So be thinking about that if you would, and just let Marcia or any of us know, or Gordon, Pam, any of us, so we can get those things together for you.
Okay.
Also want to mention, we, on the, just, I'm not doing the regular meeting, but the, Mr. Pay asked me this morning about, Parkstown has canceled, O'Berry has officially canceled. They're just choosing not to do those parades. Eureka has not responded. They said they were going to. I'm ready to help them with the permits. They have their insurance, but I haven't heard anything else, so we've extended.
Yeah, those that are gonna have those, I'm sorry, to jump in, Seven Springs, we need to go ahead and let Cindy and Mercer know that we're gonna, participate in those parades. I guess Milford's gonna drive us
Yeah,
around
let
again.
Cindy know. Mhm.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, just if you're gonna participate in any of those, that way we can get the staff organized on.
Saturday's the first one.
Yeah, Seven Springs is the first one. Yep. Should be good weather. So just let Cindy know if you can participate. That way we know what to provide. Great.
All right. Let's, we'll finish up here and
Okay,
we'll reconvene at 9 o'clock.
good. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to our commissioners' meeting this beautiful morning, and we just welcome you. We always start our meetings with an invocation, so I'd ask Commissioner Bell if you would have our invocation. I believe there's some special guests this morning.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have a special guest minister this morning. I think he's the chaplain for the Sheriff Department, also pastor of a local church here in the county, Pastor Hutchins, Chaplain Hutchins.
And let me first ask the commission to excuse me. I'm going to have to leave right after this because of the
We thank you for coming.
Let's pray. Almighty God, creator, giver, and sustainer of all life, our Heavenly Father, we bow before you now in humble submission, acknowledging you for who you are and referencing your holy and righteous name. As the fourth Thursday of this month has been set aside to annually commemorate the success granted the pilgrims who traveled to this land in search of civil and religious liberty, we pause now to express our sincere thanks for the tremendous privilege of yet enjoying even greater civil and religious liberties in a country, state, county, and city free of dictatorship and tyranny. Thank you for the incredible sacrifices of the service members and their families who labor daily to secure and maintain those freedoms both at home and on foreign soils. Watch over and protect them and see them safely home to their loved ones. We thank you for divinely protecting and sparing us from the recent tragedies suffered by so many, both here and abroad. We ask your mercy upon the thousands who have suffered great losses of life, homes, possessions, and peace of mind. Touch our collective hearts and minds as we compassionately seek opportunities to express your love, care, and concern for all mankind through relief efforts and missionary endeavors. Because we recognize and understand that regardless of political, economic, or social status, we are all mere creatures who are totally dependent upon the Creator. We turn to and beseech you for guidance, communication, and direction. Help, we pray, those we have chosen to lead and those of us they represent and serve to hear and obey your voice of wisdom and truth. Grant those we have invested grave confidence and trust in to lead our county and its citizenry the wisdom from above that is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, reasonable, full of mercy and good fruits, unwavering without hypocrisy. Continue from this day forth to bless, protect, enable, and guide them and us is our prayer. And God bless the USA. In the name of Jesus, your Son, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking your time to come. Mr. Smith, let you do the pledge this morning. We've got a room full of special guests, and I'd like to turn it over to you, please,
Yes,
sir.
sir. In just a few moments during special recognition, we'll be giving some specifics about a really nice event, and I'm proud to say we're glad to have these young men here today. I know a number of Boy Scouts, and it's been a long time ago, Boy Scout. I'm very proud to have today the Boy Scout Troop 23 to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd ask them, all of us, to stand at this time and allow them to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance at this time.
Attention. Salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. General statute mandates that the chairman inquire onto whether any member knows of a known conflict or interest, or even the appearance of conflict with respect to matters before this board today. If any member knows of a conflict of interest or appearance of a conflict, please state so at this time. Thank you, Commissioners. Approval of the minutes. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Motion's on the floor to approve the minutes from November the 5th. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, likewise. Thank you, that was unanimous. Discussion, adjustments of the agenda. Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir. A couple of items that were discussed in the briefing this morning. Under reports, item number 3, Mr. Bell will be giving a report on North Carolina's eastern region, and I'll be giving some details on that. So number 3 and 4 under new business will be moved under number 3 under reports. So that will make new business Farm City Week number 1, 2013-16 Health Department Strategic Plan number 2, budget amendments number 3. Also under budget amendments, we are adding page 44A, which is budget amendment number 156 for $2,939.19. The finance officer will be going over that at that time. We will not have a closed session this morning, but we are adding just one item for county manager's report in place of closed session. And I believe, unless there's some other items from the board, those are the only changes.
Any other items from the board? If not, then we'll move on to reports. Special recognition, Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. Ask the board if you would step down at this time, please. Mr. Chairman and board members, and to staff and to citizens that under special recognitions today, it was, sometimes you get in trouble for recognizing family, but when you have folks that work with you on a daily basis, they become truly family. And I do want to recognize, and I'll point him out, and he may not like that, but that's all right. The son of Ray and Pat Garner. Pat Garner works in our office, has been here with us for a couple of years, and she brought something to our attention recently about the young men behind us. And her son, Remington Garner, is amongst the young men here today. So that's kind of how this brought this about. And we're, all of you as board members have emphasized that we need to recognize good things in Wayne County. And this is a good thing. The Fall Camporee was held November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 2013, honoring the 90th anniversary at Camp Tuscarora. During the Fall Camporee, Boy Scout troops were divided into the patrols to compete in competitions which included outdoor, backpack, and Dutch oven cooking. Cooking was scored in teamwork and taste. In the pioneering competition, patrols constructed ladders for lightest scouts to climb and a tripod to hold a can with a bolt inside. If the bolt touched the side of the can, the patrol had to start over. Each patrol was scored on time and correctness. The campsites were also scored on neatness. Wow, I wonder if everybody's bedrooms look like that. Huh? Just a thought. The flag ceremony was held the day it ended. The Scouts were trying to set a world record for most flags retired at one time in order to commemorate the Tuscarora Council's 90th anniversary, which is amazing in itself. There were 4,424 flags retired at that ceremony. Wow. Each flag was cut into 3 pieces in the stripes and the blue field with 1 star cut out of the blue field. At the closing ceremony, Hogan Moore presented an award in his honor to the top patrol. The Bobcat Patrol, Boy Scout Troop 23 was the winner, and the Grizzly Patrol from Boy Scout 23 was 1 point behind in 2nd place. Troop 23 is sponsored by the Princeton Lions Club in Johnston County, with Scout Master Keith Thompson and several scouts being from Wayne County. The Tuscarora Council, more than 8,000 youth. I want to say that again, 8,000 youth and adult volunteers in Duplin, Johnston, Sampson, and Wayne counties. That's a lot of folks. Tuscarora Council, Nusiat District Executive Ryan Roberts and Tuscarora Council Scout Executive Tim Harper were invited today, but because of their schedules could not be here today. But we have even better, Troop 23. I would like to, Mr. Chairman, recognize all of these folks and have them stand at this time if they're present. 223 members are as follows: Bobcat Patrol first place, Caleb Heath, Hunter Price, Garrett Poplin. I think Garrett wasn't going to be able to be here, but Brandon Ramirez, Justin Oranger, Jack Barber. Grizzly Patrol second place, Dakota Thompson, Remington Garner, Hunter Lassiter, Austin Wales, Jason Morgan, and Austin Holland. We have with us Scout Master, a lot of work, Keith Thompson. Scout leaders, I know we have Jamie Phillips today, Chris Tyree, and amongst them also were Glenn Heath, Jeff Price, David Brittinger, and Neil Holland. With that, I would like to offer a big round of applause for this accomplishment this morning. Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask, and I would kind of, Keith or someone would like to come forward and maybe describe that day's events, and also to help talk about the award a little bit and kind of what it means to him and to his troop.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We really appreciate y'all having us this morning, and everything. The boys, this is not all of them, this is just a small, we got about 18 in the troop. But we had a big camporee, and I was lucky enough to be on staff for that weekend and help plan it. It took us about 6 months. It was a major event for us. But our boys showed up and worked real hard as a team. And that was what this camporee was set up to do. And they showed the Moore Award, as it says, that it was given to recognize exceptional teamwork and outstanding leadership. And the boys from Troop 23 showed exactly what that award was for that weekend. They stepped up. Out of 35 troops that were there from our council, our boys took first and second for their leadership and their outstanding teamwork together to win this. But we really do appreciate this.
That's great. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'd like to, and I'm going to ask Marcia how she wants to do this at this time. How do you want?
If all of the scouts would come by, and I think you have something for them.
do.
And shake the commissioner's hands, and then we'll get a group photo.
Okay, so I'm just going to call them out as they were on this list. Caleb Heath. Thank you very much. Thank you. You step up and if you want to shake the commissioner's hands. And Hunter Price. Thank you very much. Garrett Poplin. That's right, Garrett wasn't here. Brandon Ramirez. Justin Orger. Thank you, sir. Jack Barber. Okay. We'll make sure we get these to them also. Dakota Thompson. Got y'all messed up, don't we? Remington Garner. I don't know this guy. Hunter Lassiter. Austin Wales. Come on up. Jason Morgan. Thank you, sir. Austin Holland. And ask our leaders to come up that are here. Keith Thompson. These guys will put in a lot of hours, a lot of work. Thank you, sir, very much. Yes. Also, I know we had with us Jamie Phillips and Chris Tyree. Very much. Thank you. Very much. Yep. So we're going to get everybody to come up and stand with the commissioners. It might be crowded, but we're going to get you all up there. Yeah. Yeah, take your award up there. That's a lot of work. And Mr. Chairman, while we're getting everybody organized, we have some parents here too, right? Do you have any parents here this morning? So if the parents would stand also, because I know the Scoutmasters work hard, but these parents work really, really hard. So let's give parents a hand too, all right? Wide angle.
We gotta tighten up a little.
Yeah, tighten up. Act like you like one another, is what we're trying to say.
Austin, huh? Step up a little bit.
Get between Caleb and Hunter, Dakota.
There you go.
But Dakota, you're blocking Mr. Dauber.
Stand up, Joe, stand up.
Yes.
That was a nice looking group. Thank you. Thank you.
You got it? Before you move, let's see, parents, we'd like the parents, I know you weren't expecting, but we'd like you to come up, we're gonna get 2 pictures with the parents. So if the parents would just kind of come up front, call you. fellas up here, and I know you're going, I didn't tell me this, but it's all right. Just blame it on me. That's right. Just go with the flow. Get up front, get that, you have to get up front, because I think they're gonna want you in front, Marcia, can you get them in?
I can't get that way.
Yeah, everybody get up front, parents, you might, yeah. Yeah, go right up front, right up front.
Just stand up and bend over a
Just
little bit,
stand,
yeah,
yeah.
just kind of, there you go.
There you go.
There you go,
That'll work.
perfect.
Jump in there, Pat.
See, let me get over here.
Okay.
You get it?
One more.
Got it? Perfect. I wanna give it got it, and to Keith, okay, we got it. Thank y'all, and let's see, Keith, I lost you. Where? Here you go. I wanna give you these for the other boys and your other leaders too. Thank y'all for taking the time. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank y'all for letting these guys a day out of school.
That's right. Hey,
Morning
look,
out.
you gotta go back to school. So,
Thank y'all so much.
thank you very much. So the commissioners need to stay down here. Commissioners, y'all need to stay down here. Okay. All right. Ms. Carolyn. Okay. All right. Commissioners and staff and citizens also, it's a privilege today. We have some folks who have dedicated a lot of their career and their time to Wayne County, and would like to ask Ms. Carolyn King with the Wayne County Health Department to step up at this time, please. Good morning. This is presented to Carolyn King, Health Department, appreciation of dedicated service as a county employee, March 14th, 1988 to October 31st, 2013. How many years? 25 years. Good job. With the County of Wayne. We appreciate the job she's done. The one thing I can say about Carolyn, I've been here 13 years, end of December, I guess. And she is competent. She was always on top of whatever her project was. It was thorough, it was done completely, and she didn't forget anything in any detail. Very detail oriented, and I appreciate that about you, and a lot of passion for what she did. Did you want to say anything, Carolyn?
It was a privilege to work for the County of Wayne and the people of Wayne.
Step up here if you would.
I'm very grateful. It was a privilege and an opportunity to work for the County of Wayne, which I am proud to be a native of, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity
Great.
to have been here.
Well, we're going to miss you, but we're going to see you around.
That's
We
right.
may even call you in on some stuff. How about that? So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to present this to Carol this time and then ask you to come up and speak to the board. You've got some family here today, too? You have some
No.
people here?
I'm not today.
Well, you do? Us. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll put you right there in the middle and get your photograph. Yeah. See, you'll stand out with the blue on. They've all got the gray on.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you. All right, don't go anywhere. Emma Lampson. Come on up. Don't make them do mathematics here. This is Emma Lampson. Good morning. How are you? Emma Lampson. It was presented to her for social services and appreciation of dedicated service as a county employee, October 11th, 1993 to October 31st, 2013. So that's pretty easy. Mathematics of 20 years. Great. And what was your position there? Step up just.
Income maintenance worker.
Okay. All right. And she's made the decision to retire, but anyway, we appreciate it. She's also in description of Talked to Judy Pelt and a couple supervisors and also Debbie. One of those employees that was, you could always count on, day in, day out, and that means a lot. It means a lot to us in your commitment to service for us. Thank you very much. Thank you. Step up. Thank you. Simmons, did you have any family here today? Do you have any family? Your husband's here, and your husband's name is? Gary? Good luck, she's coming home. Don't blame us, I'm kidding. Thank you very much. Have one more. Jerry Pate, come on up. Jerry Pate's one of those guys, he was one of the very first persons I met in animal control, and boy, have we come a long ways in animal control. From a place that was, I don't think it was as big as this room, do you? To a facility that I think we're all very proud of. Jerry has been, in my opinion, a real inspiration as far as a dedicated employee, but also you could count on him. He was here every day. Jerry smiles about everything, and he always saw the positive aspect of it. Sometimes when I didn't see it, he would say, well, you know, there might be a little ray of sunshine somewhere. So that was always helpful when we get a little down about things. This is presented to Jerry Pate Animal Control in appreciation of dedicated service as a county employee, November 1st, 1985, November 30th, 2013. How many years?
28 years and a month.
28 years and a month. He was counting down. Almost. And 1 hour and a half. But we appreciate Jerry's service. And I know he's been a big support over the years in animal control, and he's been one of those mainstays, and it's been very important to us. It's been very important.
I've enjoyed all 28 years, but I'm going home, and I'm probably going to have a honey-do list.
Uh-oh. You think you have family here today?
My son and my wife.
Great. All right. And he's coming home too, so.
She started.
You got the list? Good job. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks. I know. Here, hold your plaque up. Don't give up yet. We also had some of the staff, including the director from Animal Control here today, supporting him. So we appreciate the opportunity, appreciate the commissioner's support this morning. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. Thanks. Good luck. Okay, thank you. Yeah, he's just dinging, isn't he?
You're gonna turn that down.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to appointment committee. Mr. Mayo.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you will turn in your agenda, it's about pretty close to the front today to our appointments. We were saying in our appointment committee meeting this morning that it's hard to find in our agenda, so we just look for the yellow. So if you'll turn to that page, our first reappointment this morning is on the Wayne County Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee. Beverly Decker is eligible for reappointment. And I'd like to make a motion at this time, Mr. Chairman, that we reappoint Beverly Decker to the Wayne County Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee.
Motion's on the floor to reappoint Beverly Decker to the Wayne County Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? That was unanimous. Thank you.
If you'll turn the page, the Mount Olive Board of Adjustment, you see the request here from the town of Mount Olive. After reappointment, Mrs. Armstrong notified the county manager's office she would be unable to serve due to health issues. So therefore, the town of Mount Olive requested the Board of Commissioners move alternate member Kenneth R. Lee to the regular member slot. This will leave an alternate member vacancy. And I make that in the form of a motion that we move Mr. Kenneth R. Lee as an alternate to the regular member slot on the Mount Olive Board of Adjustment.
Motion's on the floor to appoint Kenneth R. Lee to the Mount Olive Board of Adjustment. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next is the...
Yeah, I voted.
You voted?
Oh, okay. The next one is the Wayne County Board of Health. We have two appointments today. Dr. Osborne Wilder and Kim L. Larson for reappointment. I'll make that in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Sally Mitchell also.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Motion's on the floor to appoint Dr. Sally Mitchell and Dr. No. I'm sorry.
No. Dr. Osborne Wilder and Kim L. Larson. And let me explain, Mr. Chairman, the Dr. Wall, this is optometrist, and according to statutes, this position has to be an optometrist. So they're going to have to advertise and get more applications in for this appointment. So we're recommending Dr. Osborne Wilder and Kim L. Larson to be reappointed this morning.
Okay, motion's on the floor then to reappoint Dr. Osborne Wilder and Kim L. Larson to the Wayne County Board of Health. Motion's on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you. It's unanimous.
If you move down to the bottom of the page, the Wayne County Farmers Relief Fund Board of Trustees, Larry Pierce is eligible for reappointment, and I make that in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion's on the floor to appoint Larry Pierce, Wayne County Farmers Relief Fund Board of Trustees. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you.
If you'll turn the page, please, to the Wayne Executive Jetport Advisory Committee. I'd like to recommend at this time from the appointment committee that we reappoint Chadwick Coker and Paul King, reappoint them to the Jetport Advisory Committee. I make that in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion's on the floor to reappoint Chadwick Coker and Paul King to the Wayne Executive Jetport Advisory Committee. All those, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you. Unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, the second one is linked to the Wayne County Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. We would like to reappoint Andre Elliott, who's under 18. We'd like to reappoint to this council. And Beverly Bell, Commissioner appointee, we would like to do a reappointment there. Leteri Ward, that's also a reappointment, Mr. Chairman. And Pascal Adams is by appointment recommended by the Crime Prevention Council. V. Oxenden, this is a new appointment, sexual abuse. She's a professional. She is recommended by the council. And Daniel Weeks, Bethel Church, member of Faith Community, recommended by council. This is only an appointment, and I make all these in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman.
All right, these before you, commissioners, you have all these before you. Keep me from having to repeat everything here, but those before you as brought to you from the committee, appointment committee. Motion's on the floor that we accept these. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you. That was unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, that's all the appointments today, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Very good job, appointment committee. Thank you, Mr. Mayo. We move on to, in the reports, Board of Commissioners committee reports. We will, Mr. Bell, begin with Mr. Bell this morning.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, about 2 years ago, I brought to the board an opportunity that we had over at Eastern Region about some finances that they had available. And as of today, the Eastern Region is going to close down probably June of this year, at the end of June this year, 2014. Mr. Mayo and I serve on that committee, and so we have an opportunity to get some money for use on certain projects here in Wayne County. And I will not go into detail right now on that, and I asked Mr. Smith if he would, as soon as he passed out his literature, that we will, how the money will be dispersed.
Mr. Bell had brought to the board on several occasions the opportunity, and also previous members as well as Mr. Mayo talking about dollars available at the Eastern Region with this reorganization that has been discussed. Mr. Chafee came by and talked with us. After that time, I have met with the staff at the Eastern Region and looked at what projects we could place that fell under economic development, and the staff is recommending projects that we feel like are long-term investments that do good for the county, for the community, citizens in different ways. So I'd like to, Mr. Chairman, kind of read through this. The package I've handed out denotes that the DMV trust fund collections total just over $1.8 million, along with a 1/13 state allocation, and I'll talk about that in a moment, of $576,000 for a total of $2.4 million. Project's recommendation from the staff utilizing the DMV funds only at this time, first of all, is the purchase of Cuttington property, which is presently optioned in the Mount Olive Industrial Park. It's 45 plus or minus acres, and this $420,000 includes any survey work or any other closing costs. It's $420,000. I have denoted, or actually placed in the file, a map provided by Wayne Development Alliance. And I'm going to go through these, and if we have any questions about them, we'll address them at that time, but it's just over 45 acres. You'll see it's behind Andy's, or now Highway 55 Corporation, and behind the 47 acres that the county presently owns, as you'll see. And this is for future industrial use. The other project is one that's been talked about quite a bit lately, and it's the State Cemetery project. It's the purchase of 50.23 plus or minus acres on Long's Plant Farm Road, plus survey work. This is $462,070, and I have included a map which shows 14.49 acres on one side of Long's Plant Farm Road and 35.74 acres that is on the other side of Long's Plant Farm Road, and then you'll see a 26.3 acres that would be conveyed to the county from the Wayne County Development Alliance. So we'll look at that project. I do want to mention on the State Cemetery project, I do have a sheet that I handed out, I think, at the last meeting, that the direct and indirect impact to our county after it is built, folks are visiting that park, is over $6 million a year. That is with visitations, overnight stays, and payroll, which is pretty substantial. And I have verified that with not only the state veterans group, but local and state tourism officials. Next, I'm really excited about this project. I have worked with not only folks like Mr. Mayo, the Development Alliance, Dr. Kay Albertson, we have looked at Wayne Community College for the purchase of equipment for the Wayne Community College Manufacturing Center of Excellence. And if you refer to the attached information, Community College did a really good job. They had been trying for years to get this in place. They have the space for this equipment. And when you look at our Works Initiative, working with the Development Alliance, envisioning a manufacturing center of excellence, I know there have been some visitations to Sanford in that center, and looking at training and creating better skills for our workers. You'll look at some areas of welding, simulated welding training. You'll also see machining and the equipment necessary, and engineering, a CNC mill for engineering lab. The total project cost is $643,600. This money is a great investment in our future, and I know with Mr. Pate and those folks serving with CRCs and work keys, Mr. Mayo being with his background in machining, and then with Mr. Bell and folks working with the Eastern region, we really tried to target how do we invest our dollars. This is not just about bringing money into Wayne County that we use today, it's gone. This is money that we will utilize that's here for 20, 30 years and has impact to real careers. Next is the Wayne Executive Jetport. That is $352,194.75. And that is a project that we will be taking to the advisory board for completion. This is the Jetport Advisory Board to look at. These are things that may not be covered in the Transportation Improvement Program. That includes signage, some entrance construction, some possible paving improvements, particularly as you drive into the FBO or fixed base operation. That left turn is a little hairy, to make some changes there, but also security and fencing. We have a real problem with animals jumping the fence. You'll say, well, how is that a problem? Well, when you've got a $12 or $15 million jet at high speed moving down the taxiway, a deer or a bear can create a lot of damage and safety to the individuals in those aircraft. And we are looking to increase that height, and that has been recommended. That project in itself is over $700,000, but this could get some of those critical areas accomplished, and then we could look at some of our visioning money taking care of the rest. That is a total of $1.877,864,075. And we are hoping that the board, with Mr. Bell's comments in a moment, request those dollars immediately from the Eastern region. I've gotten word from the Eastern region that Wayne County, in looking at these projects, is looking at long-term projects versus things that die away in 1 year. And I'm really proud to present those to you, and thank you for all of your work. The 1/13 state allocation of $576,000, this is the loan portion. You have to borrow those funds. There's a 1% fee up front upon borrowing. You have to pay that back over 5 years. You would pay that back to the state treasurer's office as that transition occurs over the next 6 months. We have to do that by February of 2014. There are some projects that we would like to consider, but I would like to bring those to you at a later date because this is a little different in that it is a loan, a little more complicated. So I'd like to bring that in December or January with the help of the board and some staff. So I would turn it back to Mr. Bell on these projects, and also entertain any questions from the board at this time about those projects. We've been working for about 60 days on these.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we request the funding that's recommended by the staff, North Carolina Eastern Region, totaling $1.877.864,000.75. Got that kind of wrong, didn't I? But anyway, further that the county review other projects at a later date and request the 1/3 fund requirement, and request that these funds be requested prior to February of 2014. I also like to add into that motion the requesting that we accept the property that WCDA is offering us in the same motion. That's okay, Mr. Parker?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I think that you would also to purchase the property from the Harry and Miley LLC that
Yes.
WCDA has under option.
Okay, that we would do exactly what Mr. Parker just stated.
You sent that motion down, I think you've got it written out.
Any necessary budget amendments? And any necessary budget amendments requiring to allow the purchase. Yes, sir.
You're tasking me today. The motion is to accept this fund, the requesting the funds by the staff that is recommended in these projects in the amount of $1,877,864.75. And with the same motion, that is included the cemetery project, the land.
To accept the
To accept
property
the
from
property.
the WCDA and to purchase the property from the Harry and Molly LLC and the necessary budget amendments to accomplish those.
Okay.
There is no budget amendment that would be necessary to accept the property from WCDA, and it's my understanding that will be on their agenda tomorrow to present that to the county.
All right. Motion's on the floor. Any discussion?
Also to include requesting the 1/13th based on staff recommendation with board input before February 2014.
And that is on this?
Yes.
Yes. Any discussion? Mr. Mayo?
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, make sure that everything is clear to the citizens of Wayne County. This 1.8 million roughly money, this is not a loan to the county of Wayne. This is money that already belongs to Wayne County through the taxing of the DMV over these years. There's no payback on this money. This belongs to Wayne County. So it doesn't cost a taxpayer a dime. So I am definitely in favor of these recommendations. You know, Commissioner Bell has said for a few years now, we need to tap into Eastern Region. They've got 16 million, they got 18 million. Well, Mr. Bell, you're getting your wish. Thank you for serving on the Eastern Region Board. But these four items do what I consider sets us on a pace for economic development for the future of Wayne County. First of all, this is getting serious about the public and all of us. Our number one concern, creating jobs. That's what this is all about. And this sets the pace for years to come that brings us to that point. For example, jobs, of course, I've already mentioned. Commissioner Pate and Workforce Development, we see a real need there in the skills gap. But it also increases our tax base, which eventually will increase our revenues that we have for our citizens of Wayne County. And I think finally it will increase the quality of life for all citizens in Wayne County. But last but not least, what this does is that Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, we are giving the base more protection from flight path encroachments. So when you take a look at how this affects the whole county, the bottom line is economic growth. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayo. Any other comments, discussions? Mr. Cromartie, Mr. Pate, and then Mr. Doherty. Just come to the
Just
line.
for a little bit of clarification on my part, I understood that the Harry and Molly LLC property was part of the motion. Was the Cuddington property needing to be part of the motion, or was it on there?
Yeah, it's on.
It's not to purchase it.
Right now, this is just to draw the money down,
Okay.
and then we'll have to go through, because there is an option being held. We'll need to bring another motion to you to take care of that.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Pate, thank you, Mr. Cromartie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think these are all good ideas. I'm especially excited about a couple of them. On the state cemetery project, I think I want to publicly say and thank Andy Anderson for all the hard work he did over the years to make this possible, because he would have never gotten this far without him. And, you know, the economic impact's important, but the memory to our fallen heroes is much more important. Wayne Community College, as Mr. Mayo said, when Mike Haney first came to town, he came to see me. He says, "Well, Bill, I need, what do I do if I ask you for 10 welders?" I said, "Well, good luck. You're not going to find them." And all these other machines that we're purchasing to train people in Wayne County, these are the jobs that are in demand in manufacturing today. Good paying jobs. And we can't get enough people trained to perform these jobs. Yeah, they're hard, but this will give us the equipment at the community college, and I want to thank Kay Iverson and Dominic Goon for sitting down and working this out, because this is very important. I hope that someday in the future we'll be able to find a bigger facility to put all this in.
Discussions are being held.
I know, every time I see her. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty.
Mr. Smith, the 1.877
Yes, sir.
are actually funds, that is not a loan. Those are funds that were accumulated from the license plate, I believe.
That's correct.
That accumulated through the years. And when would we need to definitely draw those funds down? What is the last date on drawing that down?
I will tell you, I've been advised to draw them down as quickly as possible. Sometimes spring to June, but based on conversations I've held with regional folks, they're telling us the other counties are drawing their money down, and then monies are being eyed by other counties to draw down what's not being used, not to take the chance, draw it down as soon as possible. And that's what I tried to do, was bring it to a conclusion very quickly.
My concern here, all of these are great projects. My concern is that I come in today and I have not heard of any of this. My concern is that there has not been much discussion in regards to this. And I understand that that is the recommendation, but I would have wished that, one, as a commissioner, I was made aware of those funds being available, one. Two, that I would have at least asked my input in regards to maybe some ideas of where we could use those funds. And so I'm a little bit concerned that, we come to the board meeting today with an agenda that was produced last week, and here I am today with this placed in front of me with no prior discussion. So I just would hope that going forward, that as we are tackling these issues, that all of the board be a part of those discussions. I'm just a little bit taken back by it. In that, my understanding when we discussed this, and we were talking about a possibility of extending utilities out to our bypass, that those were preliminary discussions, and I was not aware that we were making a decision today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. Any other discussions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bell.
Mr. Doty asked about how quick should we draw this money down. The legislators go back into session, April. We want to do it prior to that, way before they get back into session, I think.
Mr. Chairman, if I can also too, on Mr. Daugherty's correct, we had the 70, I think it was one of the strategy sessions on 70, and some of that was discussed about the engineering and the cost of moving water and sewer to the at least 4 interchanges, I believe. A 5th one was very questionable. So I did have discussions and meetings with Scott Stevens with the city and looked at those costs. They had a preliminary engineering report on Wayne Memorial. That's the one. It was several $1 million and 2 entities, Wayne Water Districts and Goldsboro, and that's what I ran into in each of the 4. For projects totaling over $8 or $9 million just to get the line there, and that was like down and dirty and quick. So I asked, what about this? And without getting Scott or the city in trouble, they said, we're going to have to look at other ways to accomplish this task, that this would be a drop in the bucket. Look at projects that you can do now. And that, so I did. I mean, I researched and I think we talked about that and seriously tried to look at could we accomplish that, and saw that we could accomplish one maybe. And then really kind of drew back and said, okay, then how do I kind of spread this out around the county to get as much impact as possible? And these are the ones that we took a look at. But, you know, and it was fast. It was very fast.
Mr. Aycock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think all four of these projects are worthy. The one I'm excited about the most is Wayne Community College. I'm a firm believer that any education we can give our young people to further their careers, I'm really excited about that equipment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Aycock. Any other comments?
I'll just make one
Mr.
final
Bell.
statement, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bell.
One of the reasons why we had to jump on this, the Eastern Region was directing us to get it quick because of the possibility of losing that money. So we didn't have much time to think about long-range projects.
The other thing is
Thank
we
you, Mr.
have,
Bell.
I appreciate the board's direction over the last year. As you have been through your retreats, you from Facilities Committee to WCDA, the Product Development Committee, all those things working in conjunction, the Advisory Board, the Jetport, the Community College, you had a meeting with the Facilities Committee at the Wayne Community College, the Cemetery Project, the Veterans Advisory. The one thing that we were able to do, and this is kind of like North Wayne and Eastern Wayne, is having shovel-ready projects. And on these, we really had shovel-ready projects, to have things shelved and ready where you had plans, prices, to be ready when money comes along, boom, and you ask for it and try to get it. And that's been helpful this year. Your direction as a board has helped us do that. So I want to say thank you for that and giving us that maneuverability, and then to be able to provide guidance to these boards to be able to put these things in place, because this is pretty exciting stuff. You know, it is, as Mr. Daugherty said, it's quick, you know, but we're trying to jump on things as quick as you can and trying to, you know, grab it when we can grab it.
Mr. Pate.
Just a quick question, Mr. Smith. With the other 576 plus,
Yes.
you know, that's the 1% fee.
Yes.
What kind of time frame are we looking at? You can bring something back to us so we can discuss on those.
I'd like to hold some discussions with the board in December with all of you about some projects. There are 3 or 4 that I have in mind that I've talked to some individuals out in the community about, because they are a loan. It is a loan. And then at that time, I feel pretty certain moving forward, Department of Treasury, that you're not going to be able to re-loan the money. I think it's going to end when it gets to the department, when you pay it back. That $500,000 will be gone after that. So that being the case, we need to be real strategic in how, because on our books, it will show as a liability. So that will be for the finance officer and myself and the board. What are we borrowing the money for? And I want to see how that impacts our books, because short-term financing can be a negative. And I got to make sure we pin it right. And I want to also involve Davenport to make sure, and the credit rating agencies, that we do it the right way and it doesn't look like a negative.
I hate to say it's missed this
Sure.
opportunity, because that's
We're going to make sure we don't miss it, but we'll keep you fully
Okay,
informed.
thank you.
Sure.
Any other discussion, comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mayo.
Also, keep in mind, this is qualifications is one of the things we got to look at too. Has to be for economic development. Some things qualify, some don't. So, but I in particular am really excited about all 4 of these projects. Again, is that Wayne Community College, if we want to move forward in economic development, Wayne Community College is the key to moving forward, along with workforce development. So what I like about these items, again, I will reiterate that our number 1 priority is jobs, and these 4 items allow us to do that in the future. It also puts Wayne Community College into another tier as far as funding for equipment and so forth, because if we can get this equipment done and get it in, we will be one of the premier training facilities in this area in eastern North Carolina. So we've always set the pace in Wayne County, and I'd like to see us continue to do that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayo. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Daugherty.
One final, it's not a matter of the projects, it's a matter in how we have gone about this. Mr. Smith, was there any particular reason why this was not in the agenda package when they were sent out?
We literally, last night, in fact, you saw me run around doing copies this morning. I had the final information from the community college at 6 o'clock last night. I got the final information, called Kay back, called her back at 7 this morning to make sure the machine, because I wanted to list what was correct. So we literally worked over the weekend on Cuttington. I was negotiating Saturday at 11:30 on Cuttington on the price. Cemetery with state property management yesterday. And on the Wayne Executive Jetport, I met with staff and the Baker Group yesterday. So, I mean, it's happened very quickly.
I understand, but understand, I didn't even know that the process had begun. It's the process that I'm concerned
Sure.
about. Going forward, when things like this occur, I would hope that all board members are made aware of it, that we're having the discussions. There wasn't any discussions with me in regards to that any of this was in the planning stages. And yet I get here today and I see that there are comments that are already drafted out in regards to supporting these particular projects. I support the project. I was aware of the cemetery project. I was aware that we had an option on some property in Mount Olive. But I wasn't aware of these others. And I would just hope going forward that we're a little bit more transparent with all board members, that we were made aware of what is in fact in the works. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. Any other suggestions or comments? I want to thank the WCDA, Joanna and her staff, Mike, Tiffany, and Jeremy, for what they have done over the last 3 weeks, in particular the Mount Olive group that Mr. Ed Camardi and I met with yesterday afternoon at 4 o'clock, 2 o'clock, still negotiating. It happened very fast, but the Cuttington property, Mr. Carnegie and Mr. McDonald, very much of an advocate in working through that in Mount Olive. And of course, knowing what we've done with the state cemetery project, moving forward with that, the other items too. But Wayne County has a diamond in the rough with our Wayne County Development Alliance. The history of that goes back a long time, but what we've seen here is truly collaborative effort to make these things happen very quickly when the time comes. And Mr. Daugherty, I can assure you that this board is very transparent. It's just when things start to happen and we're making the phone calls, they happen very fast. And this had to be put together very, very fast in order to get these funds. As Mr. Bell's indicated, there's probably $16, $17 million out there. And all the counties are really trying to reach out and get those funds. So, you know, I just want to commend WCDA for staying focused and having these projects ready at a moment's notice when the funds come. Funds are very difficult to get. Funds right now are very, very difficult. And I'm just glad that we could get these. Thank you, Mr. Bell, for what you've done. Any other comments, suggestions, questions? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Mr. Bell? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All those opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Mr. Bell, you have any other committee reports?
No, that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Camardi?
These are committee reports.
Yes, sir.
Find my paper. Yes. Since our last meeting, I had an opportunity to be over at the Lane Tree for Hot Topics, presentations given by university level folk and representatives from the State Department of Public Instruction. This is not a criticism, it's just probably a thought on my part. There were a lot of things discussed, but when I thought of hot topics, I thought I would have heard something about raises for teachers, but that escaped the topic session. So I just had to bring that out. Later on that afternoon, I had the good fortune of traveling with some of my, arriving at a site up in Fremont to witness the opening of Representative Holdings' new office. And I think that's significant for Wayne County to have one of our representatives opening the office, making himself available to his constituency in Fremont, but yet able as an outreach to Wayne County. So that was an interesting day. Had an opportunity to be part of the Veterans Day Parade. It was just a little bit chilly, but parades are not supposed to be swimming attire, especially in the fall. And it was very well attended up in Goldsboro. The seating was in front of the Waynesboro Hotel, and the most impressive part about this was to see our military leader at Seymour Johnson, the Colonel, the Madam Colonel, march and lead about 600 of her personnel down the street. And that was truly impressive. Any citizen did not see that, you missed an opportunity for a grand affair. And of course, there were a lot of other interests in the parade. We saw a lot of Boy Scouts, and it seemed like on that day it was just so appropriate to see the Boy Scouts in their uniform and all that. It makes you just feel, don't want to editorialize, but it makes you feel good about what we're doing nationwide, and even, especially the military, the worldwide presence that you know that they participate in. I also had an opportunity to attend my regular Wayne County Planning Department meeting, and also having been added to the East Carolina Council, which is different from the East Carolina that was just mentioned a few minutes ago, and I've had to get my mind straight that there are two different ones, but I had the opportunity to replace our chairman on that particular one because he moved on to another council. And so on the 14th was my orientation night, and just to listen to some of the information that I had not been made privy to before. The group has been somewhat reorganized. It came out with an excellent audit report, and it sounded like that was a little bit in contrast to what may have taken place in the past. So I'm glad to hear that group, as the orientation was given by a young man that had made some presentations to us before here in the county. That group is in place to help, especially small municipalities, develop projects, write grants, and do things that the average small town, like Mount Olive or Eureka or Salsa, and some of those would not have, Silver Springs, would not have the manpower in place to do, writing grants and those kind of things. So it is refreshing when you hear an orientation like that and realize the things they do, that the taxpayer money is being well spent. And I think that's the overriding thing in today's world, is that the taxpayers' money is well spent. And just to harken back to the report that was given a few minutes ago concerning the dollars that's coming back to Wayne County, I share my fellow commissioners' zeal that we move forward as quickly as possible to get our dollars, but there's no replacement for transparency, and so I understand that position and point of view. Finally, I would like to speak real briefly about the Mount Olive Library. It is moving. It is being worked on. Since I'm not on the ground every day, I'm not sure exactly the sequence of things, but Mr. Mayo and I had an opportunity to visit that site 9 days ago, and the young men who were in charge of the day-to-day operation there gave us an excellent tour and explanation of the specifics that's taking place. I would like to say that I know one of the things that was a concern of the of Donald Phillips, our countywide person in charge, director, that the outlets, the electrical outlets, be made very available, and the gentleman did a great job of cutting the floor so those things will be put at floor level, and I know would add to the attractiveness and the efficiency of the work. So I say out loud to all of Wayne County, but probably especially the area south of the Neuse River and the other adjoining communities, that we're in for a treat one of these days when that library is up in place, and the size of it, the location of it, and the aesthetic value that will be added to Mount Olive is truly, I think, in the future, something to behold. So Wayne County, let's give ourselves a little bit of applause for being proud that I think we're heading to some very good things. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for your hard work and your diligence to all this. It's a big task, and with the great advice from our attorney, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cromartie. Good report. Excellent. Mr. Pate?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too attended the educational forum, and one thing that I took away from it, when Scott Rawls, the community college president, was talking, we heard that phrase, skill gaps, again. And so that just continues to ring throughout the educational system, and I'm glad to see we're addressing it here in Wayne County. And after that, we all did attend George Holdings' office opening in Fremont. I had an opportunity to talk to some of his staff, Deborah Marm, and I cannot remember what Alicia's last name was. It escapes me right now. She's one of his liaisons from congressional level. And talked to them not only about ag concerns, which you know I'm always talking about, but also talked to them about our veterans issues in Wayne County. And they both are planned to attend our next meeting on December the 5th, which I thought was really good. And I got an opportunity, along with my Commissioner Raycock and Mayo, to be in George Holdings' ear about the importance of our agricultural center. Friday the 8th, myself and Commissioner Mayo, we attended the Purple Heart ceremony at Seymour Johnson for Senior Airman Justin Beasley. It was really a moving event. Colonel Levitt awarded him the Purple Heart for injuries sustained in Afghanistan. He and his group were, he's an IED special removal specialist, and he and his group were really kind of rescuing some Army troops who had gotten into a bad spot, and got them through that area where mines, they knew where there were mines that were there. But as they were on a road where they thought they were safe, they themselves hit an IED and blew their vehicle up, and it was an ambush. And he helped save some of his comrades. He traumatic brain injury, which he's now getting over, and a 6% loss in one ear. And this kid is 23 years of age, and I was just proud to be there. And it was his birthday, and he was just as humble as he could be. He did not want to be recognized. He really didn't. The Veterans Parade, and like the commissioner here said, when the troops came walking by and the applause that we got, it was just tremendous. And I want to thank Bill Graham, Al Green, and all the Patriots Coalition for organizing this and putting it on. They did a great job. Spent some time with my works group again last Thursday, and I won't even go into that because we talk about the same things and where we're trying to head to try to close those skill gaps. I was on WGBR last Thursday with our former Representative Efton Sager. We were discussing the importance of Seymour Johnson to the local economy and Efton's appointment to the state MAC, and how that will complement our local MAC, and so we can continue to support the mission of Seymour Johnson. And thanks to Carol Bowden for letting us come in to talk. Got a couple things on ag. We did not meet, but I've had some conversations with several members of my ag committee, and it appears I was short-sighted when I set this committee up. Now, the Ag Center is certainly a very important endeavor that we're pushing forward with, but they told me, they said, Bill, there'll be a day after the Ag Center. I said, you're right. So they're asking me if I would ask this board if we could change the scope of that particular committee to address ongoing agriculture issues in the future. So I put that in the form of a motion that we change this Ag Committee to a permanent advisory committee to this board that will meet quarterly or as necessary. and we'll have to have staggered terms of 1, 2, and 3 years. And I talked with Marcia about that, and we'll work that out in the appointment committee next time we get together. And that's my motion.
Motion's on the floor to establish an agriculture advisory board, or it would be an agriculture advisory committee,
Ongoing.
ongoing
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah. To meet quarterly or as needed.
All right,
And they have staggered terms of 1, 2, and 3 years.
all right. Motion's on the floor. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Bell?
do the board think we should have the attorney maybe to write up a proposal before we, then we know what we're voting for and what it's all about, rather than just approving something now and we don't know where it's going?
Do we have an advisory committee now, correct, for the?
It's simply for the construction of the agricultural center, but the group, what they want is an ongoing advisory board to this commission board on agriculture issues that will be arising, as we know they will, ongoing in the future, and how they would want us to help address that and solve their issues if we can.
Mr. Smith?
I'm talking with the attorney, probably with the Jetport Advisory, Library Advisory, we've got several of those groups. We really just need to, and if you wanted to hand that to the attorney and myself, we could pretty easily put together, based on some existing templates that we have that you've approved over the last year, bylaws of sorts, Borden, or standard operating procedures of terms, how you vote, quorum. I mean, it's 2 pages. I mean, it's not real detailed, but we would need to do that. And that's something I guess they could do contingent upon that being developed, Borden, or
Could be, we'll bring it back
So
to
can
you.
we
we'll
vote
bring
on
it back
this
to you at the next meeting. It's really up to you.
If you
I'd
vote
like,
on,
if we can't vote on it today, I'd like to.
I think you
I'd
could
like
do
to send
that,
a
and we
message
would
to
bring-
that group, that their wishes are to move this thing into a permanent scope.
And we could bring the policies to you on December
third.
3rd, and we could bring that to you for voting.
Contingent to something being brought up?
Okay. But I understand your point, Commissioner
Any,
Bell.
any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Cromartie?
am I to understand that you'll be using the current group?
Yes.
Well, I would only, and since I've not met with the group, I've seen a list, maybe to dovetail on what Mr. Bell is saying in just a moment. And we do want the ag whole arena to be so broad-based from a gender, ethnic standpoint. So look at the membership that's currently there. If it's not as balanced across the counties, it might need to be. I would want that to be looked at so that all groups feel a real strong part of this, so as to lend the greatest attractiveness for the whole entire population.
Mr. Chairman, one thing I want to mention, when I was working with Mr. Pate on this, the one thing that Kevin Johnson and myself did, and even went back with Howard Scott, the Wayne County Farm Bureau, we looked at that issue because we looked at minority family farmers. We looked at ag business. We looked at geographic. So we really tried to look at it, and I think it's covered pretty well. It maybe could be improved, but I think it's covered pretty well. So I'm just, as far as I'm confident, I think a pretty good job was done, and we tried, and there was a number of us working on that to ensure that. And like I said, it can always be improved, and I don't think it's something that can be added to or changed, Borden, as we move forward if they find other folks that we could add. But, I mean, you make a good point. But we really tried to look at that when we were putting the first one together.
And I think the names that Kevin brought forward to me are the grassroots people in this county.
Yes.
That farm.
Yes.
And we've got a couple of folks who are in the banking profession too to help us with those issues.
That's correct.
And we got one of the strongest members of our board is a woman.
Great.
She sure is. But,
Any other discussion? Questions? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All those opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
one other thing, while I'm on a roll here, I do want to add one person to my ag board. This person has been working on this project for years and brought a great deal of information to me that helped me move this thing forward. And I've asked Commissioner King if he would serve, and he said that he would. So I put that in the form of a motion.
Motion's on the floor. Accept. That, thank you. The motion's on the floor that I serve on the board. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Pate. Any other reports? Mr. Pate?
No.
Mr. Daugherty?
I think most of this we've already gone through, but I'm going to add my 2 cents into it. I was pleased to see the opening of Congressman Holden's district office in Fremont, and that, I can't stress enough, means a great deal to our county. And while you may have been lobbying for the Ag Center, I was lobbying for I-795.
No doubt.
So it's good to have that very close at hand and to work with our congressman. I did want to let everybody know that that is located at 120 Main Street in Fremont. It's open on Thursdays 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that phone number is 919-440-5247. Veterans Day. I couldn't have been more pleased with the parade. I understand that that was one of the largest parades in recent memory. But I too state that the highlight of that parade was our airmen in unison marching down Center Street with Colonel Levitt at the helm. It really was an awesome event. The hospital board. Will we ever get past Blue Cross Blue Shield? The hospital board has been meeting in special sessions to monitor those contract negotiations. Last week at its regular monthly meeting, we received encouraging comments that some progress has been made that would move Wayne Memorial back again to having a contract. Again, as everyone's aware, it's been in the newspaper and been publicized that as of December the 4th, that contract will not be in force, and all Blue Cross Blue Shield patients were to be out of network. The board voted at our last meeting that we will not require any additional out-of-pocket payments by any Blue Cross patients that are served at the hospital through December the 31st. So that means as of December the 5th, if we do not have a contract and you are a Blue Cross patient at the hospital, it would be out of network, but the Blue Cross is going to eat that 10% and will not be charging the patient that. And that goes through December the 31st. Now, the board felt like that there was important to do to our citizens here in Wayne County to allow them some flexibility of time to possibly look for alternative providers. Again, we're encouraged by some movement on the part of those negotiations, but we do not, as of today, have an agreement. I attended the Wayne Health Board meeting last Wednesday, and later on in today we're going to hear from our director in regards to our strategic plan. The Goldsboro MPO. Been a lot of discussions through the years on the Goldsboro MPO. The Goldsboro MPO is really your MPO, and you need to put input into those decisions. We met last Thursday. We began work on some updates to our transportation plan. With the opening of US 70 bypass in 2015, there are some projects that are on the plan that need to be modified or removed, while others need to be added. An example of that was a overpass at Oak Forest going over the existing bypass. That really would not be needed, so therefore that needs to be removed from our plan and possibly adding additional projects to the plan. Now, the public has been asked to contact either Jennifer Collins with the City of Goldsboro or County Planner Connie Price with any suggestions on needed improvements. It's your MPO. Let them know what you think to improve transportation in Wayne County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Daughtery. Mr. Aycock?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Most everything has been covered. I did attend the education forum out at Lane Tree, very informative. Also, Commissioner Payton and myself went to the grand reopening of the Pizza Inn. A little bit of history of the Pizza Inn. Construction was started on it in 1969. It opened in 1970. 70 Highway was a 2-lane road. Pizza Inn was on a dirt road. So we all grew up there. And it was destroyed in 1986 by a fire. And Mr. Partridge saw fit to rebuild it. And now his daughter is the owner of it, and she's saw fit to go in and update and increase the seating capacity on the inside. But we had a very good ribbon cutting at the Pizza Inn. The Veterans Parade, like the rest of the commissioners has says, it was when that group from Seymour Johnson went by. I mean, it brought cold chills to you. I think in the actual formation there was something like 532. Plus they had a lot of other personnel in other parts of the parade, but that was very touching. And the floats with our veterans on it, dating all the way back to World War II. Those men and women sacrificed so much for us, and I'm just so proud of the county for the turnout. It was a, like I said, a chilly day, but the attendance was great. And there was one special part in it. My granddaughter's Girl Scout troop was in it, and got a chance to see my granddaughter march down Center Street in the Veterans Parade. Also attended Representative Holdings opening his office in Fremont. And Mr. Daughtery's already touched on the days that it's going to be open on Thursday and the times and all. But I think that's going to be a great asset to Wayne County and this region, not only Wayne County, but this region. And last, the Wayne County Firemen Association's monthly meeting is tonight at Belfast. The meal will be at 7 and the meeting starts at 7:30. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Aycock. Mr. Mayo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I don't have anything to say. I think everybody's covered it. I was able to go to the educational forum, as already been mentioned. The panel at the forum, they shared the status of Governor McCrory's request for all education systems to work together to improve education in North Carolina. So that was one of the things that was brought out during this forum. Yes, Congressman Holdings, new office opening up. I'm so pleased to announce that that's in my district. We need notoriety and anything that we can get in the northern part of Wayne County. And this collaboration with Congressman Holding is very welcome as we move forward for economic development, infrastructure, you name it. It's good to have that contact and that relationship with a congressman. I'm going to save the veterans and the parade and Senior Airman Justin Beasley. I want to do that last in my report. I did attend the MPO meeting. For the citizens that don't know, the MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, really need to go on the website and look it up and see what the MPO actually does, what their responsibilities are. There's two committees that actually run the MPO, and they're called the TCC and the TAC. The TCC is a technical coordinating committee, and the TAC is a transportation advisory committee. So go online. All this is there so we all, as citizens of Wayne County, can understand what the MPO is all about. Veterans Day Parade, it's already been said, it's already been said that it's much, it was as big as a Christmas parade, I believe. It was a great turnout. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I want to tag on that just a minute and add to Commissioner Pates. The senior airman, Justin Beasley, Purple Heart presentation, this is what our military is all about. I want to, off of the actual bulletin itself, I want to read you what happened to him. This is Senior Airman Beasley. He's assigned to the 4th Civil Engineering Squadron, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. This is his story. On the 23rd of June 2012, while deployed to Afghanistan, Airman Beasley's team was responding to a suspected roadside bomb when they were caught in a complex ambush by insurgents. Airman Beasley was manning the M240 turret machine gun when his truck was struck by an improvised explosive device, better known as IED. The blast disabled his truck and injured him. After the blast, his team leader dismounted the vehicle and began to check for additional roadside bombs, but immediately received accurate small arms fire from insurgents. Though still dazed, Airman Beasley and the security team were able to suppress the enemy with their direct and constant fire, allowing his team leader and the dismounted security team to take over. His perseverance and actions, despite injuries, saved the lives, get this, saved the lives of 30 dismounted Afghan and U.S. personnel. That's what our military is all about. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayo. There's no unfinished business. Going to new business, but before we do that, it's 10:30, and we have public comments at 10. Apologize to the public for going 30 minutes over, but there's someone here that would wish to speak. Please come forward this time and give your name, address, phone number. Public comments? 4 minutes. 4 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman and all the commissioners.
Good morning.
I come to you today
Give your name and your
I'm
address
sorry.
and phone
I'm
number.
used to doing that. David Madden, 202 Ashland Drive, Goldsboro, North Carolina, 27530, 919-222-8522.
Thank you.
Apologize. I come to you as an inspired citizen today, not just from Wayne County, but also an American. We focus on jobs, the economy, schools, health, and many more important items. And with the passage of Veterans Day, I think it is also our purpose to remember those that fought, lived, and died for our freedom, but also remember that the important matter of it all is freedom. It is something that I think we're so used to that we take it for granted. So with my brief comments, I just ask that we remember what it is to be a patriot, not just a resident of this wonderful nation. Regardless of our beliefs, origins, or ideas, in our great country, we have created a life where we can be expressed, we can disagree, we can challenge each other, and we can embrace all of this to be better and for the purpose of our rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In no other place on this planet is freedom not only provided, but guaranteed. We should all remember our great country and be committed to its success with all we can give. We all should be patriots. In closing, I only want to say this. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Madden. Any others? Any others wish to speak? wish to speak? If not, then the public comment section is closed, and we'll move into new business, but can we take about a 4-minute break and be back here very shortly? About 4 minutes. We're back in session under new business. Farm City Week proclamation. Mr. Smith, I believe we have a special guest with us this morning.
We do. We have Director of Cooperative Extension, Kevin Johnson. He's going to come up and talk to you about a couple things and give you some details behind Farm City Week, which is always an exciting time of the year.
It's a very exciting time, and Commissioners, just as a reminder, y'all are invited to our Farm City Week banquet, and then for our department heads and the press, everyone that's here, our Farm City Week banquet is next Monday at 6:30 at the Wayne Center, so please RSVP and let us know, but it's an exciting time for the ag community. And Farm City Week is a time of celebration for our ag community and our relationship with the urban partners, so we're very excited about this. And I do have a proclamation,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, if that's all right, I'll
Yes,
read
sir,
that for
Kevin.
you.
Thank you.
Whereas the growth and development of the county and the well-being of all its citizens are dependent upon cooperation and exchange between the two essential environments of our society, farm and non-farm families. And whereas Wayne County's agriculture income makes a significant contribution to the economy of our county, with over $390 million in gross farm gate sales during last year. Whereas Wayne County is the 4th largest agriculture county in the state in gross farm sales. Whereas studies have shown agriculture and agribusiness industries together bring in over $760 million to the income of our county, which represents 22% of the county's income and 20% of the county's employment. Whereas Wayne County was recognized by Farm Futures magazine as the 5th best place to farm in the United States. Whereas wherever we live, on the farm or in the city, we share common needs: food for our nourishment, forestry products for our shelter and paper, and fiber for clothing and other materials. Whereas if Wayne County is to continue to prosper, it is important that farm and non-farm residents appreciate and understand each other. Whereas the agriculture community continues to promote a countywide marketing campaign called We Dig It to promote the value of agriculture to the county's economy. Whereas Farm City Week provides an unparalleled experience for farm and city people to become better acquainted. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Wayne County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim November 25th through 29th, 2013 to be Farm City Week and a week of thankfulness. Now, therefore, be it further resolved that the Wayne County Board of Commissioners intends all events associated with Farm City Week in Wayne County to be a tremendous success. Adopted this day, 19th day of November 2013.
Mr. Pate?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you put your hand
No, I
up.
was writing.
Okay.
But I am going to raise my hand and just.
Is there a motion on the floor that we approve the proclamation?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Pate. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those against, thank you.
Thank you. And going along with that, the We Dig It, and I appreciate the support everyone sees the We Dig It. We have billboards, we have stickers, we have everything. We've got something brand new, and I'm going to present y'all the very first one, hot off the press.
Wow.
Cool.
A We Dig It ag poster. And basically, it's an outline of the county. All of these pictures are representative of Wayne County. So I'll turn it around for our. So we're very proud of this. This is y'all's copy for y'all to put wherever you would like. But we're very proud of this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Pate?
Wow, I've got Kevin front and center up here. There's a couple of things that I've been talking with both Lee and Kevin about. And I'll go back first to say that my farming community and my livestock community are a very vocal group, and they should be, and I'm listening. We've got 2 positions that are currently not filled in your department over there. One is, and I'll start with youth livestock first. This is where they go out and do the shows and that kind of thing, and those responsibilities have kind of fallen on you because when you lost a livestock agent, and you're being spread thin. Is that correct?
That is true.
Okay, I'm sorry. My understanding is we have someone over there who's qualified, who grew up through these shows and works for you now, and there's money there to be able to do this. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you explain to us what we need to do to make this happen, or?
Yeah, I can do that. The youth livestock component is a very important part of our livestock programming, our educational process. And of course, even some of these Boy Scouts are part of our youth livestock, by the way. And it's a part of our 4-H. But there's a huge demand. You know, we have our livestock show and sale, which is part of, it's in April. It's part of the fair with the Livestock Development Association. We have livestock judging teams. And we're not talking about just hogs. We're talking hogs, lambs, goats, beef cattle. There are all types of livestock. But it's a big part of our community. And in the last year, we've really just had nobody giving them guidance in this. We do have a young lady on our staff, Summer Young. She works with some of our grant programs right now. She grew up showing livestock. She is one of our good 4-H employees. She has a passion for children, and she would do an excellent job helping us with this youth livestock component. So I feel I would like to, I would really like to get Summer into a position where she can help this part of our ag community.
It's my understanding that you know the money's already in different spots in your unit over there.
What I've got is from new hires that we had. There's some extra funds there from new hires that came in at a less figure. Also, we have some funds in an extra help line item that we used to use for school enrichment, which was doing embryology projects in the school. We've kind of let that go by too. I kind of have a vision of Summer going out doing youth livestock and our school enrichment. And we have the funds there, or they're your funds, the county's funds. We have funds there that we could fund this position.
Mr. Smith, is this the budget amendment for what I'm talking about? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's from existing.
Okay. We've been talking about this for the last few
We have.
days because I've
And
been talking with Kevin.
it's a reclassification.
It's a reclassification. We're not hiring a new person, but it does, because we're moving dollars from one line item to another, it does require a budget amendment. And I want to see this reclassification go forward, and this budget amendment was not a number on it.
We haven't really known.
Okay. But it won't cost us any additional dollars, is that right?
No, this is dollars that are already within the budget,
Okay.
that they're moving within the
Just
budget.
I guess my motion would be then that we reclassify this position and through the use of a budget amendment, move funds to fund this position.
Yes, sir.
Motion's on the floor that we reclassify this position as a full-time position, is that correct?
Yes.
Full-
Yes.
Okay, and make the appropriate funding as indicated in this budget
This
amendment.
budget amendment, yes,
Any
sir.
discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Mayor?
am I reading this correctly, that NC State University is contributing to this, or I see it, what's that on?
Send in.
This will be a county position.
It's county.
It's total county.
Okay.
The universities is agents and some secretaries, and this is going to be just a county position.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we
That
just-
line item just says university payments because that's where we put those salaries.
Yeah, because then it goes to the state and they pay, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's a little
I got
confusing,
you.
I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, it's not costing us any more dollars, we're just moving
No.
funds from, okay, just want to be sure
For
about
dollars
that.
that are already generated will be generated moving forward, so.
Mr. Daughtery.
I'm not quite understanding. You have this position, but it was funded from another source? Is that correct?
I have, this was a different position we're talking about. The position that Summer's in now, she does what we call Operation Military Kids. She works some with our prevention programs, and these are all soft dollars. You know, she's getting monies that are.
Grant monies.
Grant dollars. They're all grant dollars is where her salary's coming from. What we're recommending here is that she go into a full-time position working with youth livestock and school enrichment.
Has there been someone that has filled that position in the past?
The youth livestock was somewhat filled by Eileen, our livestock agent, who left to go to Sampson County.
Part of her duties.
That was part of her duties, and she did the best she could with that. Our school enrichment has not been done in quite some time, just because we've not had anybody in that position. We've just not been able to fill it.
But those, in regards to those functions, and that employee, that was paid for from other funds other than the county?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So when that person left, that left a vacancy in regards to handling these functions. So you're asking to actually move someone that's in another position into this, and the county fully fund that?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Well, we're reclassifying her in the present position. She's got these other duties as well as this, so we're adding and reclassifying, giving additional duties, correct?
Yeah.
It's a reclassification.
But she would be moving to an actual county employee, is basically what
Yes.
you're saying?
And the dollars generated, I don't have any issue moving forward in that these dollars will be generated moving forward. I don't see an increase there moving forward because we are already generating these dollars. We've got grant dollars. I mean, I feel pretty safe in what we're receiving, not only from the university for some of the full-time livestock, but also for this position, grant funds. I mean, I think it's a very safe move. And, you know, we always look at where you're adding a full-time county employee, there's these long-term, but the dollars we're able to generate, but the livestock show itself is a real concern. And I will tell you, I approached Kevin some months ago, and then we started getting calls because the times, it's rushing at us fast. I mean, livestock's April,
and they've got to prepare for it now.
yeah, and we're not there. Somebody's got to jump on this thing now. That is a massive undertaking. Kevin cannot do it, and I've told him, and he knows this is not a criticism, but I said, Kevin, you cannot be all things to all people. I'm burning the staff out over there, and I've got to do something. And we knew this could happen. Now, going a little step farther, and I apologize, I had to stop out and make a copy, but if there's any discussion today, Mr. Payton and I have discussed the full-time livestock position.
Yes, that was gonna be my
There's
next
a move in the region about making some changes there. So Mr. Payton might want to mention that once because they really are tied. We are the second largest livestock county
In the country.
in the country. Is that correct?
We're in the top five.
In the top five in the country.
Yeah.
Not just the state.
And we have placed livestock down here. We have got to bring that up, and the farmers and the farm families, agribusinesses are calling like crazy over the last 60 days because they see us sliding backwards on this. They make a good point. And Kevin and I have been talking, and he's trying to do the best he can. We're slipping, and that's not a criticism. We're not able to keep up with work. So I don't know if Mr. Payton wants to, he's had a lot of calls. That's when it really started. He started getting calls, he called me, and then we started meeting.
Motion's on the floor. Is there other discussion? Mr. Cromartie, microphone, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. And this too is not a criticism. I just want to ask the question. How long, if this position had been open, had there been any effort to advertise to fill it?
Well, we've not on the livestock positions. The state and the university put the positions on hold.
All right.
So what we've done, and there'll be just some discussion in a moment, Mr. Pate, we talked in the last 24 hours, asked me if I would call the university, and Kevin and I did that, ask about other funding sources and their assistance, and they freed up dollars. I mean, as soon as they saw we were willing to participate with them, they freed up dollars, and we're finding the other positions don't cost us any money because they're already there. But it was just opening the positions up. You gotta, and we've had to do that before, Kevin, I guess with crops. We've really had to watch that, but Wayne County's been good, but we've acted at the behest of the Wayne County Farm Bureau. They have been 100% partners with us on this, to help us with the university, and they've been super. They've been really, really good, so.
So we have,
And- I'm sorry. And the person that you're thinking about moving into this is currently working with you, for you, or?
Yeah, she is. She's working in like prevention, Operation Military Kids.
And that is a county
She's working with
position?
She's working with youth, yes.
And it is a county position?
Yes.
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 And once she moves over to that, will that position that she's in be advertised?
Probably, yes.
And that's
We
what I
may
was
change
really.
that up a little bit with some positions,
We-
but he's
we-
rethinking that.
We'll
All right.
have, yeah, we
That's what
can't-
I was getting down the road to.
You're not gonna
I
run
know-
short somewhere else.
Well, no, and I'm just looking down the road at the youngsters who are out there, either coming out of high school with some ag background or from NC State or someplace, A&T, who will be anxious for a job. And I would just want to, you know,
It's a great
not
place to
necessarily
start.
to add to all the employee numbers, but if there's an opportunity for us to, because we talk about jobs, if there's an opportunity just to open up one slot for one person who's prepared themselves to do this, either coming out of high school or at the university level, I would want us to, you know, do everything we could to give some opportunity for folk to move into that. Thank you, sir.
Clarity on the motion. You were talking about, just a second ago, Mr. Smith, about Mr. Pate had another item. Are we mixing these two?
I was gonna cover that item after. we
Yeah, that's
finish
really
this.
separate, but I wanted you to know they
It's
still
So,
partner
okay.
It's
somewhat.
separate,
That's
but
why I
it's-
mentioned it.
So do you
Exactly.
want to discuss that, or do you want to wait until we
I'd rather
finish
wait.
with? Okay,
Yeah.
well, Mr. Aycock.
Yes, Kevin, this will actually be a youth livestock agent.
No, program assistant.
Program
Program
assistant.
assistant.
Okay, all right. The Junior Livestock Show and Sale out at the fairground, which is sponsored by the Livestock Development Association and all of Kevin's people, goes back a long ways. I participated myself in 1958. Now, I don't know how much further back than that, 2 or 3 or 4 years. But one of the main things in needing someone in this position, the show is in April. They are already getting ready or have started preparing their animals now. And so really from now until the show is where they need help. You know, anybody put on the show and sell, but
To give the clinics, to teach the kids how to show the animals, to teach them those life skills, we gotta have somebody in now.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Aycock. Any other discussions? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All those opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Mr. Pate?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's move to the livestock agent. This is where all the problems sort of began when we lost a valuable employee who went to Johnson County. Is that correct?
Sampson County.
Sampson County, I'm sorry, Sampson County. But anyway, we lost Eileen, and she left, and she was fulfilling partial the other job and this job. And like you said, you know, we're in the top 5 in the country producers of livestock, and yet we don't have an agent. And we've got other counties that close by to have like 2. And here we are, you know, with threats of having to share one, and our livestock farmers here are totally against that because there'll be too many gaps in that kind of service. Now, this position is understanding after talking to you, like I said, you were negotiating with NC State late yesterday.
Absolutely.
You know, that we really don't need a motion on this. We just need to get the job posted. Is that correct?
And what we're really today, we're really informing you, once we found out that the university was going to participate, and that once we talked with them, they said we talked to Sherry Schwab and Greg Hoover, that they would open it up and allow us to go ahead. By the time we advertise, we're figuring February 1st to get it filled. Yes, you know, we don't, but we can fill in the gaps for them, but we need to get that position filled. The sharing, I will tell you, in Martin Terrell, Washington County years ago, I had opportunity to share some positions. There, I shared a crop position. The crop position, not putting off on ours here, but our crop position was like livestock here in that it was massively important. It didn't work. because what you found is where you thought you'd be a third and a third and a third, it'd be 75, 10, and 50. I mean, it was a problem. The farmers and the ag business folks here are screaming that they do not want that. That being the case, we talked to the university and they said, we'll open it up. We utilize the dollars that we have, and we do have that in lap salary, so we don't need a budget amendment, but they suggested we could open it up today and advertise. So we'll let you know so you can get the word out to our farm community. They said go, which is great.
And it requires a degree in agricultural science, which in a lot of cases are people who wanted to go to vet school, but there's so few vet school positions, they end up doing this. And this job is in demand, and they can go to work just about anywhere.
Yeah.
So if we need a motion to get it posted, I'll do that, or can we just go ahead and do that without a motion?
We really don't need a motion.
Okay.
I guess the biggest thing is to let folks know we're going to post it immediately. They've said yesterday between 4 and 5 we could post it, which is great because we've been thinking they were not going to let us until next May or June.
Well, that's encouraging.
Which we were going to skip a whole year, which was going to be severely detrimental to this county. So that's great. University, a lot of folks were calling the university too. Dr. Zablina, a lot of folks in Wayne County, thank you for making the phone calls.
So any comments from the commissioners on this item? Okay.
I'm done for today, thank you.
Not quite yet. I need to ask a procedure to council. As chairman on this advisory, agriculture advisory board, our committee that we have just approved today, would it be up to the chairman or the board to appoint the chairman of that board or that committee?
Generally, it would be, and that would be in the bylaws that we would be presenting to you. Generally, the Board of Commissioners would appoint the chairman, or the chairman of the Board of Commissioners would appoint that chair.
I would like to make a motion contingent on the bylaws being drawn up of what we discussed today, that this board make that appointment, and that appointment be Mr. Bill Pate as chairman of that board, effective immediately.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you. Unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Pate. Good report.
Thank
Is
you,
that
Kevin.
all with Farm
Thank
City
you,
Week
Kevin.
proclamation?
I think so.
And Mr. Pate, if you would, I'm sure you're going to the, is it Thursday? When is it?
It's Monday.
Monday evening?
Monday.
Are you going?
Oh, yes,
Would
absolutely.
you call all of your members, the board, on your committee, and ask them to participate in their
I
attendance?
think a lot of them are going to be there.
I'm sure they will.
Okay.
Matter of fact, one of our farmers, Ross Balance, told me that he was going to speak to the Farm Bureau tonight about these two issues that we just talked about. So they are waiting for that decision that we just made. And I thank this board for doing that, because you just can't imagine the phone calls I'm getting.
Well, I received 2 texts this morning from farmers going, are you guys going to look at this today or
Oh, yeah.
when, or who do we need to call? I got 2 sitting here.
And I want to thank Kevin, too. You've worked hard on this.
He has.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad that Ross is gonna do that, because I was going to the meeting tonight.
Yeah. Well, I got to call him and tell
This
him,
makes it a lot
unless he's
easier.
watching, I got to call and tell him he's going to have to make that
Thank you,
announcement.
Kevin. Good job. Good report. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thanks, Kevin.
The next item is the 2013-16 Health Department Strategic Plan Presentation. Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. Ask our health director, David Madden, to come up, and he'll be presenting that strategic plan. They put a lot of work in this. Yeah. She'll drive if you need her to.
You can I'll just
say-
I'll navigate you drive.
Okay.
Good morning again, Chairman and
Good morning.
Commissioners.
Good morning.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to give this presentation. Let me start out by saying that the strategic plan is necessary to be done. The timeframes can vary depending on the organizational decision. It can be 3 years, 5 years. Some are longer than that. In this case here, this is for our accreditation process to present to you for your awareness. There is no need for any action item from the board in regards to this strategic plan. So you can sit back and relax and allow me to navigate while Marcia drives. overview of the strategic plan. We're going to talk about why it's important for health departments to develop a strategic plan. We're going to briefly go over our mission and vision of the health department. We're going to talk about our community health assessment priorities, which you have heard a lot about during my time here. Strategic plan goals, which are that's the meat of the strategic plan, and then, of course, questions. Why is a strategic plan important? Businesses and organizations, agencies, whatever the terminology is, it's important because it is the success backbone, in my opinion. It is so important to be a working document. A lot of times we do it as an exercise in futility, and it goes on a shelf. A strategic plan is an organizational tool. I think a good manager tries to use that. It defines our direction, gives us the ability to facilitate our decisions because we already have an agreement on where we're trying to go and things we're trying to accomplish. And of course, ever so important today, it is helping us to prioritize the allocation of our resources, which are getting smaller, tighter, and challenging. We do this through the development of the strategic plan through a SWOT analysis, and that means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's an internal and external view of the opportunities and challenges that we face. We get Board of Health review of the strategic plan prior to adoption and consideration, and of course our staff input. Again, this is an organizational document. We do get input from our partners and from the community, but we get it through secondary data sources like the Community Health Needs Assessment. So that way we don't create a quagmire of constantly feeding in information, because you know how that is. If you don't draw a line of the lines of information, you could spin your wheels a long time waiting for information from everyone's input. So we use that as a secondary data source. And we do this through this process. Hopefully it opens the doors for what we need to do, what we feel is important as the health department in Wayne County. We try to identify our gaps, and also, of course, with any good strategic plan, it invokes change, and that's the purpose of having it. The mission is important, I think, in an organization. It's a summary of really what our true purpose is without getting tied down into the weeds of the situation. The mission of the Wayne County Health Department, through our responsive and professional staff, is to preserve, promote, and protect the health of our community by preventing disease, protecting the environment, and promoting healthy living. And as you know, we do that every day. Every time we engage in conversation here in the public, you know that promoting healthy living, prevention, and environmental concerns are always a topic. Our vision is simple. It's a healthy community, living empowered lives, and securing a healthy future for everyone. It is not just individuals looking after themselves, it's us looking after each other to empower our community to believe in health, promote health. In the Community Health Needs Assessment, which is being required by state to be done every 3 years, it's the community's input. That's what I talked about earlier about the secondary data sources for community input. It allows us to look at issues on a broad scale of what people, the citizens of Wayne County, feel is important to them in regards to health. As you see, we've broken those down into 7 items, 2 categories: social indicators, poverty, access to health care, crime, and education. These were things that the public identified as being concerns of theirs, priorities in regards to their health. Specific health indicators were health literacy. We have such an abundance of information today on the internet, and it's all true, right? 100%. So people diagnose themselves, self-diagnosis all the time. They'll get on a blog somewhere and read about their ache in their knee, and next thing they know, they got some type of ailment in their shoulder. So having good health literacy is important, I think, to our community, and they recognize that as being an issue because there's so much information, but self-diagnosing is not a successful way to take care of your health. Mental health is an issue, as many of you know. It's a growing concern in all communities in America. I mean, mental health is just an issue that we've constantly been wrapping our hands around and trying to figure out how to best set up the model, how to serve people, because it's growing. Reading an interesting statistic the other day talking about suicide rates because of the economy. And it was an interesting thing. It was, I saw a suicide rate propagating in middle-aged white males. It's getting the numbers get increasingly larger because of economic situations. Health conditions. Again, that was a health indicator, is health conditions, their condition of their health. It goes back to what we've done with some of our collective impacts, the meetings we've had, is to get people more invested in their health condition and invested in where. Strategic goals. So after we go and we meet over a 3-month period to talk about our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, we look at the community health assessment indicators, the 1-7 I just mentioned, the social and health. We get our input. We begin to develop goals. And in our process, we develop 2 categories of goals, intrinsic and impact. Intrinsic being goals that we could develop for the health department that regardless of what we're trying to do, we have to have this to succeed. For example, if you want to go on a trip, it doesn't make a difference where you want to go. You better have a car, right? Because walking could really be a problem if you decide to go a trip 200 or 300 miles away. So intrinsic goals are like us building up our capabilities. The impact goals are, okay, once we get there, how will we make a difference? What can we do to try to move the needle? You know, it's hard. I wish I could sit up here and say that I have a magic formula back at my office that I could pull it out every once in a while and just all of a sudden make us healthier, change our demographic statistics in health and those regards, but we can't do that. But we can try to make a difference in those areas that we have recognized as problematic. Our strategic goals are develop and retain a highly qualified workforce, intrinsic goal number 1. If you don't have the car, you don't have the expert staff, you can't do a lot. Goal 2 is restructure health promotion to improve the capacity to educate, make policy and environmental changes, and work with the community to improve health outcomes. We're moving away from the clinical person-to-person model in a lot of regards to improving community health. We have found that it works, but it only works on a smaller scale. It has to be a community-focused policy and environmental change measure. Goal 3, again, intrinsic goal, is improve cost controls and increase revenue collection. As I said earlier, one of our challenges in a strategic plan is to look at the prioritization and the allocation and utilization of our resources. Well, I think it's my job. I think the county manager agrees it's our job. I think the board agrees it's our job. Staff agree that we have to look at how we control cost. Increase our revenue collections. It doesn't make a difference whether we're a government agency. We still should look at how to increase our revenues through our ability to bill. We have that ability as a health department. We should be looking and focusing on that because that allows us to do better. Increases our efficacy is the term that we use, but it's our ability to do our job better. Number 4 is reduce the incidence of chronic disease. This is impact goal number 1. Diseases to improve the quality of life and health outcomes. We have chronic diseases here in Wayne County. We have them everywhere in the world. And cancer, heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, these are all things that we face every day. They're number 1 killers, some of the number 1 killers in our county of our people. So we're trying to look at how does the health department play the role to try to prevent the spread of chronic diseases, control the growth of chronic diseases, and improve people's quality of life. Number 5 is decrease the incidence of sexually transmitted diseases. This is a challenge. Again, it's a topic that's not always fancy, but we have incidents of sexually transmitted diseases here in Wayne County, and we need to look at how to focus our ability to try to control, prevent, and reduce the incidence of STDs. Goal number 6, the last impact goal directly, is decrease the rate of infant mortality. That's a collaboration. We have a maternity clinic in the health department. We have family planning. Unwanted pregnancies, failure to get started in prenatal care early on in pregnancies, all these things, poverty, they all impact the success of an infant. I was once told when I first came aboard the health department for the very first time that health of a community can always be looked at about our infant mortality rates just in general. What is the support structures in place of the community? It doesn't talk about just one department. It's the structure of the entire county's ability to take care of pregnant women and take care of people prior to getting pregnant, so that the healthier they are before they get pregnant and the help they receive during pregnancy ensures a successful birth outcome. So that's something that we feel is important to focus on. And Goal 7, this is a goal that impacts all of our previous goals to allow us to better do what we do to serve the citizens of Wake County better, is acquire a new facility for the provision of health department services. We're in the county office building. It's a wonderful building. If there's ever a major storm, hurricane, or anything, I would love to be in that building. It will never go anywhere until we choose it to. It will be here like the Rock. However, it was a hospital, and the current makeup and infrastructure of the building and how it's laid out, you can't really change it much. Like I said, it's a solid building, but it's not conducive fully to optimize our ability to serve people of Wayne County through the health department. And so it's adequate, but we could use something different, use something more centralized in the receiving and processing of our clients. So open it up to questions on the strategic plan.
Questions from commissioners?
Just a quick comment, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Daugherty.
I've seen this before, Dave, and I, it is a good plan. I think the community needs to recognize one of the points in that, and that point is handling and controlling sexually transmitted diseases. We have real issue here in Wayne County, and we can sweep this under the rug or we can talk about it. And it's something that we in our county are going to have to address. And I realize a lot of people don't even want to discuss it, but it is a real problem here in Wayne County. So I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty.
Sure.
Mr. Mayo.
Yes, being on the Facilities Committee here in Wayne County, the chairman, you're already aware that we're looking at centralizing health care in the county office building over there, and those talks are ongoing. It's in the planning stages. Hopefully, for too many more years, you might can see what you're asking for is to have things centralized and more convenient to everyone in the county. So I know you've been involved to a certain degree, but I want to just reemphasize that is on the radar. It is not something that we're going to drop. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any way-
Mr. Smith?
Is there any way, I appreciate Mr. Mayor bringing up that point with the Facilities Committee. The one thing, we've had these conversations, Mr. Madden, myself, Milford Smith, past facilities directors, a health clinic, and I'm not even saying health department, a health clinic, I said it's a medical facility. It is much different than our building, no slight to a library or a school, they all have their, but it is a medical facility, and I will get this wrong, but for accreditation.
Accreditation.
Got it. For the accreditation, there are marks we have to hit that we're unable to hit where we are presently. As you said, we've got a good solid building, not conducive to health. We have looked at some preliminary options. What I would like to ask facilities, I think we're going to have a meeting in the next few weeks. If the Facilities Committee would consider a subgroup of the Facilities Committee, even Borden, I don't know if it's just a work committee maybe, or a work group, to look specifically at, we have done some space studies in the past. We're asking the health director and the health board to take a look at that, but to look at years going forward with healthcare reform and with changes in, Wayne County, though we're urbanizing slightly, we're still rural. We're losing primary care physicians regularly. We see ourselves more in that market. I know there are some that may be threatened by that, but it's the truth. The health department's not about poor folks. The health department's about a community. I think I've testified before that my kids went to the health department for pediatric care until they were 10 or 11 years old, because where we lived, it was great. Now, we have great pediatric care here. People don't know that. Well, that's also a way of sustaining services, as Mr. Madden said, with revenue, because we can accept insurance, third-party pay. That's good for sustainability moving forward. I would love to see, and this is just my off the cuff, a work group out of facilities to bring in and team with the health board and the staff to really look at how we put together a good working facility that works for 40 years. I think it can be done, and I'm encouraged. Mr. Madden's been great talking to you about these clinic spaces, and I would love to do that when we get together. That's not anything you need to do today, but I would love the health board, facilities committee to work together on that.
I agree with
So
that.
it's just a recommendation.
Comment on that, if I may. Mr. Daugherty serves as a commissioner on the health board, and Mr. Cromartie, Commissioner Cromartie, serves as the board representative on DSS.
It's Mr. Pate.
Mr. Pate, okay. Mr. Pate, sorry. Mr. Pate serves on the board at DSS. Now, the health department and DSS, they share the building that you're in.
Yes, sir.
How much of your part is health and how much of DSS is the other part?
Of the 5 floors in the COB, we have floor 1.
COB?
County Office Building, the building we're in.
I just wanted
old
for the people
hospital.
out there.
Sorry.
Acronyms.
We have the first floor is the health department. We share the second floor. We share a wing with DSS. They contain most of the second floor. We have the third floor, and then they have the 4th and 5th floor. However, we also have environmental health over at the Jeffries Building. We have child care coordination over in one of the houses along Ash Street. I'm not really sure if they have a name for those that white building, but
Is this the white painted building?
and then we
Your
also
residence.
have yes, and then we also have WIC, which is behind the county office building in that yellowish cream colored building. So we're kind of piecemealed out. Environmental health should always stay where it is because it's better served with the building department and planning. That's just a no-brainer. But the other ones should all be in the same building, really, for best level of service and continuity of care with our clients.
My thinking is what Mr. Smith has mentioned about a collaborative effort getting everybody at the table. So Mr. Parker helped me on the Sunshine Law here and committee or subgroups. If we have Mr. Pate representing DSS and Mr. Daugherty representing the health department, and then you have Mr. If Mr. Mayo is chairing the facilities committee, how do we put together a group with staff we have everybody at the table, Mr. Parker, so I'm trying to either it's a staff or committee. How do we work that? To work with Mr. Madden and Ms. Jones as far as a building, or is what you're looking at is number 7. Would you back up one, please, Ms. Number 7, yes, acquire a new facility for the provision of health department services.
That would be a work group that got together. The manager could get that group together with staff and those 3 commissioners that you named.
Can I point that today, or can the commissioners put that ad hoc committee or group or working group together today? You don't want to do that today?
I think it would be better to let that be coordinated through the manager's office, and then
All
you
right.
could.
Okay.
And let's look at kind of the role, the players, look at facilities department. But also, when we talk about like the maternity clinics, that type of thing, we probably would want to involve some of the private folks that come in, like the OBs.
Right.
We'd want their input on
Sure.
clinic space. So if we could do a work group, if facilities would allow us to do that, I could just formulate that group, and then they would bring back any recommendations back to this formalized group and
Okay.
then, you know, out to the public, that type of thing.
All right.
Because some of the issues with like the OBs, I don't know how much they'll share, but we definitely need their input.
Yes, I agree.
Because that's a huge part of what we do with maternity clinics.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Any other comments from Mr. Madden, suggestions, thoughts?
Chairman King.
Thank you.
If I may say, based on that goal 7 too, I mean, we definitely want to keep this time sensitive, but, looking at that layout of our timeline, we designated about March of 2014 to try to get that subcommittee identified and put together, so just to point that out for some timelines. That gives us a little time to be able to put that together and get some input.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Good
very
report.
much.
Thank you so much. A lot of work went in that report. It's a great vision, too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Budget amendments. Ms. Holt's been very patient. It's 11:30. We're trying to wrap it up, so we're trying to get out of here by 12 today.
I will
Thank
make it
you.
very long.
Thanks.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning.
We'll begin with budget amendment number 142. The first budget amendment is to increase insurance refunds and recoveries. This is to appropriate money received from Berkeley Insurance Company for a claim we had. And that is increasing the vehicle maintenance and repairs line item $1,600 and increasing the revenue $1,600. The next one, which is also the Sheriff's Department, is for appropriating concealed weapon and fingerprint fees. Concealed weapon $2,100, fingerprint fees $1,480. And the next one was with the Sheriff's Department. This is your walk-on. This is the Domestic Cannabis Eradication Grant. We've received $2,939.19. And this is doing the budget amendment to anticipate the revenue, which is already received, and appropriate the expenditure. And those are all with the Sheriff's Department.
What's the pleasure of the board on the budget amendments?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Cromartie,
I move those budget amendments be accepted.
motion's on the floor. We accept these budget amendments. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you. That is unanimous. Thank you.
The next budget amendment in your group is number 147. This is for Kevin Johnson with Cooperative Extension. This is the 21st Century Grant. This is the last year of a 4-year grant for our 21st Century Community Grant Program. The last year was to provide $76,059, but they have received additional funding to provide pupil transportation for the program in the amount of $62,909.49, bringing the grant total to $138,968.49. This is a budget amendment increasing our revenue by $62,909.49 and the expenditures appropriation.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Pate.
I move that we accept this budget amendment.
Yes, Mr. Pate. Motion's on the floor to accept this budget amendment as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you. It was unanimous.
The next budget amendment, number 149, is to anticipate and appropriate lottery funds for the land purchase for the new Spring Creek Middle School. This is $210,000 increase in revenue from the lottery funds, and the expenditure is to write the check to the school system. They will be paying the invoice for $210,000. You as a board approved this purchase on September 7th.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Daughtery.
I move approval of budget amendment 149.
Motion on the floor that we approve this amendment. Budget Amendment 149. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you. That's unanimous.
The next 3 budget amendments have to do with the Health Department, and they all are grants. The first one, number 150, is decreasing maternal health revenue by $11,678 and the related expenditures. This amendment is needed to reflect the reduction in funding from the Maternal and Child Health Block Grant for the maternal health program. The state reduced the revenue, the grant. The next one, number 151, is an increase in the grant for healthy communities. This amendment is needed to budget additional funds awarded by the North Carolina Division of Public Health to support the Healthy Communities program. $3,994. The next budget amendment, number 152, is for family planning, also in the Health Department. This is an increase of $3,512 for the maternal and child health block grant. Oh, I'm sorry, decrease.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Daughtery.
I move approval of Budget Amendment 150, 151, and 152.
Motion's on the floor that we approve these. Any discussion? I do question the reason for the family planning, and for the last, really since '08 and '09, we've seen family planning reduced and reduced year after year after year. And we just heard a great report from our health department. And my concern is that as these funds decrease, how much more are we going to be being able to this be accepted, these reductions? Are we keeping a real good eye on that, Mr. Smith?
I mean, I know Mr. Madden is in the health board. I know they've had discussions and looking at their minutes of that very thing because, as you said, for a number of years, it continues to be reduced. The problem is with family planning, if you looked, I mean, some may not think so, but when you look at the direct correlation between some of the funding issues, educational issues, on family planning, issues of STDs, out of wedlock births, you see a direct correlation of reduction in those type of problems when there is a good effort. As this is being reduced, I would think we're going to see issues form within STDs and out of wedlock births. I mean, because we're not educating, we're not doing the things that we said we were going to do. As you point out, this is a problem.
Well, I only
so
brought that
when
up
we do that, we're reducing a lot of our educational efforts, which means we're not getting out to kids and families on these issues.
And I only brought this up, Mr. Daughtery, in a motion, not to be against any of this. It's just, and not to stir here, but it's an indicator. And I've seen these as an indicator year after year after year, and it's specifically family planning, family planning. And it's going to come a day when we're going to have to look at some expenditures on a county level. And you can say, well, it's unfunded mandates or whatever. But the family planning aspect of Wayne County and seeing these funds reduced, it concerns me. That's just a comment. Any other discussion on the amendments? All those in favor of approving the amendments, raise your hand. All those opposed, thank you. It's unanimous.
That concludes the budget amendment.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Smith. That concludes our new business. County Manager's report. Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. I just have one item. I've talked about a couple things this morning, but one thing I want to mention to you in moving in the next few weeks, and in talking with some of the board members, and as I mentioned a little while ago with health care reform, with some of the issues surrounding Blue Cross, where our employees are able to get access to service for health care, under the advisement of some board members and also talking to some outside consultants who we've been in contact with, the staff and myself would like to put together a request for qualifications of consultants that will take a look at our health benefits specifically. And now we have some where we do like liability and that type, but that's a separate issue. This is specific to benefits. And bring these consultants in, do an RFQ through our purchasing person, Noelle Woods. She would help along with Human Resources and myself put the RFQ together and ask these companies to come in and bring us their qualifications, whereby we could then negotiate a contract with a consultant to take a look at our benefits and then bring that back to the board to look at what changes we need to make with benefits for cost savings, for providing better service to the employees, at a lower rate if we can, but also to make sure we're hitting the marks. I gave you some information recently about healthcare reform, where we are, and we're hitting our marks. But we got to maneuver that process. So we need someone to help us make sure we're doing that as we're looking at the benefits. So it's really just to keep you informed that we would like to do that, and if there are no objection, I would like to begin that process immediately, pre-budget. So in December, you would be hearing from us.
Would you want a work session on that?
Once we get the RFQs back, yes. So I'll work with staff, get an RFQ. I've gotten a few from some other counties already, and we'll go ahead and get those out if there are no objection. And then we can form a group, choose, interview some of the those that may send the RFQs back, and then choose a consultant and actually take a look. What we may do is, before we do the RFQs, is maybe do a work session just to update you on what our benefits are, how they'll now work. So once we get into the benefits, you can do a comparison of apples to apples, so you understand what's being changed or what's being considered or offered to be changed. Because benefits too are a very emotional issue for employees, like pay or anything else. I mean, it's a cost, it's a liability for a corporation. It's a huge issue moving forward for retirees. How do we do that? How do we pay for it? And those get into whole other issues. But sustainability of those benefits is important. So I'd like to be able to bring that to you, and I appreciate board members talking to me about that.
Thank you.
Mr.
Mr. Mayor? Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Do we need a motion for this?
I don't think so. I really just want to inform you that I wanted to bring it to you, and over the next 45 to 60 days, we'll be bringing a work session back on updating on where we are on benefits, and then bringing RFQs back.
Okay, thank you.
And thanks for your input on that over the last couple of weeks.
Any other items from the manager's desk?
I don't believe so. I do want to make a comment. I thought this was an interesting comment, and several of you mentioned the educational forum. And I've forgotten his name, but the gentleman from East Carolina, he made a comment. In fact, I think a couple of you said him by me. I wrote it down.
Dr. Steve.
Dr. Steve, that's it. And he made a comment that I thought was very important. And, we talk about partnerships and collaboration being important, but he made a comment that really rang true. In fact, I put it on my computer, kind of slides by, and I see it all the time. He said, it's not the partnerships and collaboration, it's that you change to a culture of collaboration, where the first thing you do is to collaborate. It becomes first nature, not second nature. That you collaborate with all those around you, and you establish those partnerships in advance. You're not forced to do it; you do it by habit. And I thought, wow, I mean, that really rang true with me, that we need to do more of that as a staff, to partner with other folks, and we do it just naturally. It shouldn't be a forced thing; it should be natural. And anyway, I just thought that was an interesting comment. And I know I saw some eyebrows raised when he said that. So that's something I would love to see us as a staff change our culture, a culture of collaboration. It's pretty interesting.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. So that's all I have.
Along with that, Mr. Smith, is that Senator Davis and I got with Steve Ballard, Dr. Ballard, at the end, and found out that East Carolina University is #1 in the state in distance learning.
That's right.
Dr. Ballard made a comment on the question that I had brought up about iPhones and iPads being tomorrow's classroom. It might not necessarily be bricks and mortar in 30 years.
That's right.
And distance learning is those people that are students that are getting their, of course, all their degree work online in their home. So that was interesting in talking to, and finding out that they were #1 in the state in distance learning.
And right here at Wayne Community College, you can go there and hook right up. That's great.
Thank you. We got 20 minutes here. I'm trying to get out by 12. So is that all your reports, Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir.
We'll start with commissioner comments. Mr. Bell.
I'm going to pass to Mr. Daugherty.
Yes, sir. Mr. Daugherty.
Well, I got a few things to talk about. First of all, I want to talk about citizens' input. It's really interesting as we move forward in our county that there are things that affect our citizens that we not necessarily view or know about. And one of those things came up recently where several people have contacted me that when you go to get a building permit in Wayne County, you can use your credit card to get a building permit, but you can't use your credit card to actually get into county planning or environmental health. And they're all right there in the same building, same room. And it just seemed odd to me because I assumed, I think a lot of people assumed, that we were taking credit cards for those services. And I've talked with the county manager, and he's very prompt in handling that because I think he was somewhat surprised as I was. But needless to say, I think effective now, we are able to offer that to citizens. As someone said, if you can make it easier to pay for a service, you want to do that.
That's right.
So we do need to find, there may be some other departments that we need to extend credit card availability for our citizens. 1 year today. Think about that, guys. A year went by really fast here for this board. As we end this meeting today, it will have been 1 year that we've served as a board. We've had some ups and downs, and we've accomplished a great deal, I think, during that year. And I think the next 3 years we're going to accomplish a great deal more. But I did want to stop and reflect on that because I've enjoyed the last year. And my last comment is regarding Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a special day for me because it brings about a day where you can be with family. It's a day of great food, and it's a great day to give thanks because we've got so much to be thankful for. I urge you to take that day and reach out to your family and your friends and patch up some of those lost relationships that may have gone about for years. But it is a day for us all to be thankful, and I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving Day and that day of turkey. Thanks so much to Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. Mr. Mayo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Briefly, I just want to commend the Board of Commissioners, Mr. Smith, his staff, on the hard work that was done on these recommendations for funding from the Eastern Region. And I know there's a hearty thank you in this group, and I don't know if John Chafee and Sylvia Nesbitt from the Eastern Region are listening to us or not, but they really stepped up to the plate to help us get this done. So I just want to say that I certainly appreciate the cooperation and really, really looking forward to a bright future for Wayne County. I do feel like it's going to be a bright future for Wayne County because we do things differently. We come together and we put forth a very concerted effort to move this county forward. The other thing is that we as commissioners, you know, Thanksgiving is a time to be thankful for what God has given us. But you know, we on this board, our decisions that we make here on this board can affect the citizens of Wayne County to the point that we can have some input as to how many citizens or who has a happy Thanksgiving. We can contribute to that by the decision that we make. And going forward, and Commissioner Daugherty, you're right, 1 year that we've been on the board. Going forward, I would like to challenge this commission board is to remember our goal. Our goal is to do what's right for the citizens of Wayne County. That's all I have to say, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Cromartie.
Yes, sir. I have what I hope is a couple of brief things. When we, and first, it sort of goes back to the funding that we were made aware that we're going to get today. And when we were out talking with Wayne Community College back here several months ago, I brought to the attention of Wayne Community that we are sort of in the process of trying to make some education opportunities available at the old Carver site down in Mount Olive. And I know that's an ongoing effort. And as I look to the things that they're talking about bringing in, the welding, so forth, I would just like to say out loud and, you know, to the public and, of course, to Wayne community, that if possible, some of this may be designed as portable teaching so that those kinds of skill opportunities could be brought around to other locations in the county. There's a large population of people, especially young men, around Mount Olive who do not possess skills as I probably might better use the word former body repairer and painter, although I still have the skills. I don't have the body to do it anymore. But I still have the skills. There is a pride that goes along with being a skilled craftsman that, not to take anything away from all the white shirts and everything, but gentlemen, skilled craftsmen stand apart in the population. And I don't mean to brag, but I do have that feeling. So welders, body repairers, carpenters, electricians, and those kinds of folk play an integral part of our community. But it's one of the things that welding, auto body repair, and some of those kinds of things, they can produce the opportunity for young men to have skills. And I would just want Wayne community, as they may be monitoring this, listening to it, to get the information, to sort of think about how that might be put in a portable type situation that not only would maybe benefit Mount Olive, but any other the far-reaching municipalities. The next thing I would like to do is ask and it might be a shortfall on my ability to handle technology, but I would like to see a list of the committees and so forth that I and all the rest of my commissioners serve on. Mm-hmm. It is a benefit to know where everyone serves, so that somebody asks you a question, you can quickly refer back to it. And the reason that I say it might be a shortfall on my technology ability, if it's already on the website, I probably just need to have some teaching done to me so that I could be able to access it. But if it's not on there, I would like for it to see it on there, and then if it is on there, please give me some direction as to how I might find it. Probably a little note to me, and I could accomplish that. The last thing I want to do, and I don't want to make this time consuming, but this has been on television a little bit, and bear with me, you all. I'm going to try to read this. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who have gave their lives that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a large sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground, and so forth and so on. I won't try to read it all, but that is a great speech by our President Lincoln. But I would just want us to reflect on that, our great nation, liberty and justice for all, equal opportunities for all people. I would just want us to reflect on that and live by it, enhance it, make it grow, put water on it, and keep it alive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cabarty. Mr. Pate?
Just a couple quick things. Kevin talked about the Farm City Banquet, which is Monday the 25th, and Jimmy Dixon, Representative Dixon, is going to be the keynote speaker. Tomorrow, the Evergreen Garden Club is going to have a dedication ceremony of the Blue Star Memorial Highway Marker for Wayne County. Pays tribute to the veterans and members of the armed forces. Be getting together at the Ruby Tuesday parking lot tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, and then there'll be a reception following at Comfort Suites. So if you've not been invited, you can still call to do that. That is Solinsky, and you can see me after this if you want to attend. But I will be there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Pate. Mr. Haycock?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It has been 1 year, and I want to thank the board members for the progress that we've made over the past year. And
okay.
I think I look forward for the next 3 years on making more progress. But in some aspects, it's been a long year, and in some, it's been a short year. But again, I just want to thank all of you for the hard work that everyone has contributed to moving Wayne County forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aycock. Mr. Bell?
I do have one short question for Mr. Smith. I received some calls from some citizens saying that the animal shelter was going to be closed over the Christmas holidays.
Over Christmas?
Yeah.
No,
No.
we alter the schedule, based on holidays, but it's not, we don't shut down. We alter the schedule somewhat, but we don't shut down.
Well, they had some comments that were made that it was going to be closed and wouldn't have staff to operate it, that all the animals that was left would have to be euthanized and all that kind of stuff. So I just want.
No.
Okay.
No,
Well, it's on,
that sounds
it's on
like-
TV now, now
that sounds
everybody
like
know.
Facebook thumb. Let's, we'll make sure we get something out. I'll ask if the newspaper or somebody, or we can get something out, and we'll get that straight.
Okay.
Thank you for letting us know.
Sure.
As somebody made a point earlier, I think like on the correct, we don't always know. So if you hear it, call us, because,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the preacher doesn't know you're in the hospital unless you call and say, I'm in the hospital. Thank you.
I have a short comment, again, getting out of here at 12. It's probably our first time this year we've gotten out of here by 12 o'clock, and we can go somewhere and eat without eating boxed lunch here in the courthouse. It's also my last meeting as chairman. A couple of months ago, I was asked to consider sort of throwing my hat back in the ring to the commissioners and doing it another year. I have indicated a couple of months ago that I would not be doing that, and my wife is very appreciative of that. The Bible says, with much that is given, much is required. And it has required a lot of time, and this seat is a very important seat, and it has required a lot of sleepless evenings, a lot of decisions that have to be made. But yes, it has been a very, very quick year. The state of the county, I will do that at our next meeting. I will give an overview of all the things that we as a county commission has accomplished this year. And today was just a good, it was a good ending to a good year that this county has set a bar this year. We have moved to another level, and that will be brought to you at our next meeting. And at our next meeting, the first item of business is we will elect officers, and I would ask the commission to give it careful thought that we do not undo what has been done, and that we move forward. And Mr. Bell and I, since '08, we've talked about the partisan part of this board as lining up or whatever with Raleigh and understanding the state governance and understanding the federal governance. But yet the county's a little different. You can't hide as a county commissioner. Me and Mr. Bell have talked about everywhere you go, Mr. Cromartie, whether it be the drugstore, the restaurant, church, even at the intersection, commissioners just cannot hide. We're out in the open all the time. So with that, I would ask that the commissioners understand that we have come a long way this year, but we're all on the boat for another 3 years. We're still on the journey, and let's get back to the dock in 3 years safely and without losing a finger or an arm or somebody falling overboard. So I really appreciate all the work that we've done today. As Mr. Mayo said, there's a lot of people that are happy today because it's hard to fund. It is hard to find money, as we mentioned earlier. And that money came at a good time for a lot of people. And a lot of people will be rewarded because we made the right decision today. So with that said, happy Thanksgiving, and hope that everyone has a safe holiday. Be careful, and be a part of your family. Do I have a motion that we adjourn?
So moved, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Mayo. All those in favor? Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.